as we see, there is no clear plan how to face this 25% tariff. Thank you.
Hey Jack, how are you? Hey Jack, how are you doing? All right, everyone. Going to get started. We have a group that wanted to come in, have some Q&A today. Some people are not in, so I will definitely get started on today's trades. Wasn't a great day. We kind of expected that. When you have such a huge move the day before, you can expect a choppy kind of not a whole lot going on day. There were trades to be had. I had a decent trade right out of the gates. I had an SPX call, which I profited on, and thank goodness I took a trade right on my long LRC rejection. I exited, so I was positive on that. I did have a PLTR trade that I ended up with a loss on, and that trade was right here. So I got into the PLTR on, oh, I'm sorry, on this move right here above the 75.30. I was up about $300 on this move. I did not take it, so I didn't take my profit. I did scale out a little bit. I waited for it to come back. It went back up. I actually started to scale out on this red candle back down. I should have just taken all profit when I had this big candle up, and this is something for everyone just to pay attention to. This is just one of those rules in trading that if you notice if you get a really big candle move like this, a big engulfing candle, and that the next candle doesn't go anywhere, exit the trade. Do not hold the trade, just get out. I should have got out. I didn't recognize it. I didn't pick it up. Not only was it it was almost like a tweezer move back to the downside. Not really. I think this one opened a little bit lower than this one closed. But in any event, there was no follow through. When you have a big move like this, you need to have another candle closing up. So since that didn't happen, when this candle came down, I should have just exited all. But I waited, and I think I ended up finally exiting when it came back down over here, and I think I ended up with about a 220 or somewhere around there. It wasn't over 220, but I had about a $220 loss right here. Um, the the next trade, let's see, that we got in. I think some people got into Tesla. Oh, I got into AMD puts. So my AMD puts were they worked out really well, and I'm still holding my AMD puts. So those are up really high. I got in those when we went below 122 right here. Actually, maybe it was a retest, but as long as I was below 122, I think I got in on these right here. And so I ended up uh, grabbing those. I held even through this pullback. My exit was going to be the 122 and never made it back above. So I'm still holding next week's AMD puts. Hello, everyone. Hey, Nix, Nomac,
Now,
put seller,
are you
Robo.
sharing your screen?
Oh, not yet. No, I'm just showing it.
Okay.
I'm just showing it in my YouTube on live, but
Okay.
I will show it right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And this is kind of a free for all. So guys ask, we can talk about trades, talk about today's trades, questions about actual the strategy and or other strategies. So if anyone is ready to ask some questions, just go to it. I was just explaining the trade that I had with AMD, which I'm still in. So that one's actually working out really well. I took AMD puts. I
Oh,
expect
nice.
AMD to get to 116. That was the one I called out today that I'm going to hold uh, AMD as long as it's below this 122. So once it came down, came back and retested, I got in. I think it was like right around here. And anyway, so I held it the entire day, and I'm still in those. Um, Now I will probably take a loss on a SPY call. So I took a SPY call today, or an SPX for next week, but it just depends on how the market goes. The market's still going down, and this dump is pretty huge right now. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but this was kind of the line in the sand area, the 585, 584. We have flushed that in the last few minutes. So something to look at for tomorrow. But I got into SPX calls, I think it was on this candle right here. And I just decided I was going to hold them until and overnight until next week. Maybe I'll get a pullback, but it'll be a $900 loss most likely if I get, because it was like a $900 call. I don't typically do that. I'm usually not a YOLOer. I did it with this one, so and this will teach me to continue to not be a YOLOer. Although Nick's she YOLO'd yesterday, but she YOLO'd at the right time. She got this.
Wow.
Yeah, 5,000%. Congrats, Nick's.
Wow.
Yeah,
Very nice.
I decided
Congrats,
not to.
millionaire.
Yeah, I decided not to trade news, even though I was sitting there watching it, and I'm like, man, I should trade this. And then I was like, nope, not gonna do it. I said I wasn't gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I actually had to turn my monitors, my TOS off, so I'd quit seeing it go down.
So, Metal, do you always say that you go into the calls at market? You don't limit, obviously, right? You go right in at market.
Yeah, typically, because
Okay.
honestly, for me, when I'm trading, I really am confident in my trade, right?
Right.
And so trying to now there are stipulations to that, right? Some of the stipulations are SPX. Sometimes if I have a maybe some volatility and it's moving up and down and it's just got over a level, but it's still kind of like hesitating before it goes the direction I want. I will I will do a limit order. Like I'll go in,
Okay.
I'll go in and I'll say buy the bid, and then I really like doing that only with SPX because
Okay.
I shouldn't say only with, but typically with like something like SPX or maybe MSTR where they're super volatile and they move a lot and you lose a lot. So I have found that it really helps to, because when it comes down and gets it, you're already in like $50, $60 profit. But
Right.
if I
Right.
mark it in, I'm sometimes at a $50, $60 loss right as I'm starting. So
Right.
I do that sometimes. However, I have just found in the time that I've traded, I have missed out on some amazing trades because I sat there and kept trying to limit in, limit in, limit in. It never would come and get me, and I just missed the whole move.
Right.
And
Trying to squeeze a little water out of the rock.
correct. So honestly, there is times to probably consider doing that. And there probably other people can chime in as well with their experiences. But for me, if we're in a day like today, which we called out, in the Discord, or I did, and others are like, I'm just going to scalp today. Of course, I held some like a bozo, but that's okay. I typically just, when I feel like we may be set up for a choppy balancing day,
Right.
I will. That's not a bad, a bad time to um, consider trying to limit in and not worrying too much about, whether you miss it or not, because you're not getting that much.
Right.
Or that's the consensus, or my thought process. I could be wrong and have been many times in that regard, but sometimes we have to go on our gut and our instinct, and that's kind of all we have. Because look at this. This was rough. This was a great trade here. Excellent. There's excellent opportunity, but
Multiple.
yeah, oh, many, many. But by the time you get to them, you're kind of beat down, right? So for me, that's why I was like, okay, I'm kind of done today, guys. I'm not going to trade anymore. And I would call out. There were several really decent setups that I think some people did end up getting. Some of the members. So congrats to them. I know that Seb, he was done by like 9:40. Met his
Wow.
quota and was done. Today I did not get my quota. I did actually get close to it on my first trade because I got in right here above the red, and I took an SPX up here. I scaled out here and I took my final profit at the top, where this is my long LRC. And when I saw that push down off of it, that's when I got out. So
Okay.
that's why the long LRCs to me are so incredibly important. And you can see what it did. Does it always do that? No, but I still use it as a guide for me. And I call it out to the group also. Like, hey, we're
Okay.
hitting a long LRC. Be careful. Get ready to, maybe scale out, take profit. Depending on what people do. Some people like to hold. Everybody trades differently. But for me, sometimes, especially if I'm in SPX, I'm not willing to give that away, right? That just destroy you right here. Um,
Right. Right.
so when I had this pushback off of my long LRC, that's when I got out. Um, I did take a small loss on PLTR today too, but like a $220 loss. And that was just not me. I didn't really trade the way I said I was going to trade, and I guess that's the human part of trading. So
So
I
let me ask you this, like
sure.
how often do you find, I mean, I've watched so many of your videos, I've sent you messages,
Yep.
and I'm wondering how often do you find yourself hitting a top end on a call and then shorting or that you feel like some of these pyramids here in a way where you're getting up and then you're getting in for the down like within minutes or what have you, or are you playing the up and now you're good because you've gotten a nice profit, or you hit your quota and you're not as concerned about trying to maximize the top of the mountain and then going down the mountain.
I would say to answer that, all of the above.
Okay.
So there are many times when my analysis, or I have a failure of my strategy, right? So there are times where the strategy doesn't work, and then my bias will change completely. Let's say, for instance,
Okay.
let's just say this happened and I didn't have this level, and I
Okay.
got this move above. Everybody can see this, okay? I think. So
Yeah.
say you get this close above the 20 EMA, you wicked up off of the yellow. I mean, this right here is perfect for me. When I see this happening,
Mhm.
it just sets me up to get ready. Then you get a move above and a close. My next entry is right here. This goes up. I would scale out at, maybe, I don't know if I'd scale out here because I got in really close to that. It's possible. Depends on the stock and how many I'm in.
Right.
But I would scale out at my next LRC level. And then if it starts coming back down, let's just say I exit here. Well, then I see
Okay.
it come below. Well, now my bias changes. I buy puts and I get in puts.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I've done that many times, and I'll trade to the 200 only when there's a big gap. I don't typically like trading into the 200, but there has to be a gap, and I honestly can't tell you or help anyone to know what size the gap should be. That's subjective.
Right, right.
You really have to just gauge it yourself. Some stocks tend to um, move better through the gap to the 200. Some don't. So I just if I ever do, which I have here recently, if I ever trade like this right here, this would be a perfect trade for me. Consolidation, hitting the orange here, coming back down, breaking through
Mm,
my level,
hmm.
closing here. I've already closed through the 20. Look at this steep line. Now I've got a 20 EMA that starts to turn. I would
Mm.
get in on this candle here as soon as it passed this candle. And then guess what? If it comes up, I'm out. So very small loss,
Okay.
but huge risk. I'm sorry, low risk, huge reward
Right.
opportunity. Of course, we're looking at something that already happened. So this is hindsight. We can say this would have been a huge opportunity, but I have to say with my experience trading this over many, many months now and being as successful as I have been with it,
Right.
I can actually say that's very low risk, very high reward. Um,
Okay.
and so even though I may take some losses, but let's just say that this didn't work out, right? Let's just say this went through here. I get in on this candle and then the next candle goes up.
Boom. Right.
Okay,
Right.
so I get a close and then I close, I exit. So I take a little bit of a loss. Maybe I'm in heavy, I don't know, maybe I lose two or $300. But the next move, if I get something like this, it goes.
Right.
And I've made
Right.
back my loss plus, and that's why I'm green almost every single day that I trade, which is a wonderful feeling.
No kidding.
Yeah,
So you know what? I've been thinking a lot about like asking you this. I just stumbled across this live Discord, so I'm glad that I'm able to. Um, when I know you say you somewhat watch like 20 different positions and keep your eye on it, like how are you able to do that, but then at the same time make these somewhat instantaneous decisions when you're looking at so many different, individual stocks or whatever they may be. And like that sounds overwhelming to me, to be honest with you. So like I'm just trying to understand as I'm watching your video, I'm saying to myself, how is he able to watch all of this stuff, but then still make moves in a, somewhat, it's one thing to watch two or three stocks, right? And then, you're limited and you're like, oh, this one's going, I'm making a move. So
right.
I guess without being long-winded, how do you balance that? I'm actually more interested in
Sure,
from
sure.
like just an individual person sitting there and like looking at so many things and jumping and and being able to do it. So anyway,
Oh yeah, no, it's actually simple. I'm a ninja. No, I'm just kidding. So so I use my grids, which I think you're well aware of, right?
yep.
And I'll pull up my grids. It's pretty simple for me. So when I'm trading, I'm literally, this is my main set. I have 24 that I watch. And all I'm
Okay.
doing is I'm just, these are all 2 minutes. And all I do is I sit and I scan and I watch. And I'm like, okay, this is near a level. NVIDIA's near a level, like 130. Okay, guys, I'll let the group know. And then when I see it approaching, I go ahead and get the options loaded up if I don't already have them loaded for
Okay.
calls or puts, because at that point, I want to be able to. I don't know which way it's going. I don't ever try to um,
Oh wow,
guess
look at
or
that.
tell everybody. Sometimes I will have a bias on what I think is going to happen based on what's kind of going on in the overall market. However, I still put puts and calls because this could come down. It could reject, go through one of my levels, and then I can get in. Um,
Okay.
so I'm watching everything, and I urge everyone here to do this because as I've progressed with this strategy, but also with trading, I have found how important it is to be able to see Apple, Q's, Amazon, AMD, Meta, Microsoft, Google, all the big boys, really, all the
Okay.
bigger ones, right? If you see them all coming in breaking through a level at the same time, and you're in a stock that you're about to trade, say they're breaking down and they're retesting a level and they're rejecting Nasdaq, ES, SPY. If you're in puts, you're gold. You're really gold. If it goes against you,
Right.
you get out. But for the most part, you can kind of see the writing on the wall without having to really stress so much. It's right in front of your face on the monitors. Now, I use 4 monitors. I use one for my main trading, which is yeah, this one, and then I use one for that's to my right that I will m- just move from different time frames. Like I'll have a 5 and a 15 minute, and or I'll do a 5 and a 10 minute sometimes, and then I'll have a sometimes I'll switch it out because I'll have like a 4 grid to show NQ, ES, Qs, and SPY on a 15 minute because I like to see what the 15 minute looks like sometimes to kind of give me more confirmation
Mm-hmm.
on more of just a longer term view of what's
Right.
happening in the market. I think it's
Right.
extremely important to do that.
That's a great point because I think sometimes all of us, like, you get locked into a 2 minute chart and it becomes so isolated to
Correct.
not looking at what the bigger picture is in a way.
Yeah, you can't see the forest for the trees as an analogy, right? So this is one, like I'll pull this up on my other chart, and I have some moving averages and some whole moving averages that I'll just use on a 15 minute. I don't necessarily use them that much, but at a quick glance, it allows me to see, okay, I'm below my whole. It's moving down. Um, so I will pop this up on my monitor to my right. My grids, which I'd shown you earlier, I have on
Mm-hmm.
my 2 upper monitors. So I'll have
Okay.
24 stocks. My right monitor on my top side, I use I typically keep a specific set, but I do change them out. Like there's sometimes like CrowdStrike might be something that I'm looking at versus Boeing. So I'll just swap it out. So as the day goes on or the weeks go on, there are certain things like ASML has been kind of on the radar here lately. There's been a couple different stocks that I normally don't look at, but I've heard come up and they have pretty good price action and good volume. So I'll put those in. I'll just move them in and out of different, of the different charts on the grid.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
so it's just I don't keep it like absolutely static on that side. I pretty much keep my main one though static, the one I just showed you. That stays that way, and that's the one right in front of me because it's the most important in my opinion for um, just watching what's going to happen. And this is just one of the other, like I'll have this set up on my, if you don't know how to do this, you can just set up charts in your grid. And when you
Mm-hmm.
set it up the way you want it, all you have to do is save it for whatever name you want to name it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
If
Right. Right.
it's just for those of you that don't know, there may be some people in here that don't, know how to do
Yeah.
that. Um, and so we're in an interesting area. I did not think for a minute we were going to be hopping below this. Not to change subject, but that's pretty interesting. Um, so and so that's really how I do it, and I call it out when I'm calling it out. It's not that difficult. Like even though, like today, I was finished trading in with the exception of the trades I was just going to hold as swing trades.
Right.
That makes it even easier for me because I can just sit right there and call out to everybody, hey guys, this is happening. For instance, like yesterday, we had um, or was it the day before yesterday? In any event, we had some trades that we had some consolidation showing up, and I think it was yesterday. SMCI was one of them that I had called out, and I was like, guys, get in this if you break consolidation. I was done trading, but I drew it. This is it right here. It
Oh
was
yeah. I
it
remember
it,
watching
it
this.
was
Yeah.
awesome. So I just drew a box right here, and I said, hey, if it
Yeah.
if
I
it
watched this
breaks this
video
box,
yesterday.
get in
Yep.
it. And I think a couple people did, and it was freaking awesome. And then you could have actually done it again here. This is something just to pay attention to. Now, of course, the LRC levels kind of show you what's happening. I can't, you can't see them now, but
Right.
yesterday again we were on an LRC level, right, kind of coming through here and right here. As soon as you broke above, you could have re-entered, right? So um, simple things. Just try to keep it simple. I don't like using any indicators that tell me anything like buy and sell. Those are where I've lost
Okay.
all my money.
Okay.
th-
So I was gonna say a lot of people, and I've been studying a lot lately, is using the VWAP
oh
and
yeah,
the anchored VWAP, which I guess that's in your scenario you don't use it, but
oh
that seems to be
oh
you do use
I do
it.
use it. These are my
Okay.
VWAPs right here, my pink,
Okay.
my magenta.
Okay.
It's just on these charts. Like when I flip to those, because I have my chart on this right here that I use, I typically just have this set up for when I start doing my leveling. Like this
Okay.
is where I go in and do my
Okay.
levels every morning for the group.
Okay.
So I go in and you can see how crazy, like, this is SMCI. So we had a big downside channel, and this will be a good segue into the long LRC, because I think some people in here were interested about how to do that, how to adjust it, how to use it.
I know I was, yeah.
And I do have a video on that. I don't know if my video just wasn't really that
Matt,
good. Yes.
before you go into the long, can't even speak. Before you go into the long
Sure.
LRC,
Hmm.
uh, can you do a simple walkthrough, right? I wasn't able to follow. It's like I have the levels, but I think my chart looks different to yours.
Okay.
But like in a trade, right? Um, how you go about trusting the levels, so to speak.
Okay.
Because sometimes when I'm in a so I have the levels, but then I get tripped up with the candles.
Yep.
So if you could maybe just kind of walk through, your levels are kind of faint too, so it's hard for me to see.
Okay.
How if you're in a trade, how you decide to get in the trade and what makes you stay in the trade. I don't think I saw you go through that, but I think that's something I'm interested in. So if you
Okay.
think it's easier to do that now and then do the long LRC later or whatever,
Oh,
but that's kind of something I would want to see since you're doing the
sure.
regular level.
Well,
Yeah.
either yeah, I get to the other one as well. So basically, um the let's see, to get into a trade is as much as the LRC levels as it is. I think that the 20, the 200, and my support and resistance levels all kind of come together, right?
Mm-hmm.
My LRC levels really give me scale outs and possible pivots as much as
Okay.
they do. They give me entries. The real funny thing, as time has went on and I've used this more and more, even with the group and the way that different people are using it. I'm finding it that it's not as, maybe not as much. Well, there are times when it's absolute a helps me to get in trades very early or earlier than most other people. I do listen to another group that's extremely successful on Discord that I'm a member of, and there are
Hmm.
many times that I find myself and us getting into trades, and then we're already in trades 5 minutes or maybe more, already in profit, and they're all going, "Okay, it's time to get in," and I'm just like, "Yes, this is awesome." Um, but honestly, it's not a challenge or anything or competition, but it is just something I've noticed many times happening. Um, it's a rough day to kind of give you an idea because we didn't have great setups today because of the choppiness. Let me see if I can find something to give you um, something that gives you a more clear understanding of an entry. Um, Now, some of these I may have to just get rid of levels, right? So that way we're not watching the levels. And I'm going to move. This is another reason, like when I've made the multiplier, see how tight these are? I'll go ahead and set these at a 2 to start. If I see my levels super close, because I want to have a little bit of range. So,
Mm-hmm.
so today's Tesla does give us kind of an excellent guide. Um, First candle, and this is one thing that I would say everybody should focus on because I think I've done my best when I've got in early based off of this setup. Um, when your first candle opens up, just I always say I'm going to be patient, wait, see what happens, right? And you get a push up, but then it rejects an LRC, which this is a rejection of this LRC in my opinion. It's pushing back down. Of course, you could say that it rejected further in this area, but as long as it's pushing down, it closed here. When I see that, no matter which direction we're going, I typically try to call that out. A lot of times we will actually have, it doesn't always have to, right? But a lot of times we'll have this wick literally come right there. It'll come to the yellow and then bam. And I call that out. I'm like, hey, that's exactly what I want to see. Then you see the selling pressure coming back down on top of this candle, right? Then the next candle, what happens to it? Comes down, closes over my 20 and my 200. Now,
with no wick.
with no wick basically. Also, Nick's one thing that I have to say, I do like the 20 and 200 close. So like when I'm looking at my grids trying to find what I'm looking or interested in getting in, if I have two or three stocks that are very similar in their pre-market and all that, but I have one of them that has 20 and 200 really close, that'll become my highest priority between those, and I'll focus more on that. I don't necessarily call that, well, I do call it out sometimes. I'll say that, the 20 and 200's tight, pay attention. But um, but this was an absolute perfect scenario to enter right there. You got your close, and what makes this so special to me is your close was right at the 200. So guess what? Your risk is super tight, right? If you came up here and closed, you're not losing that much money. And you just get out of the trade and you move on.
Right.
If it doesn't work, you just get out of the trade. It's no big deal.
Now, I like to interject just quickly, not to step on it, but because this is interesting to me. I've been wondering it.
Sure.
So when you say you get out of the trade at that moment, right? So at that moment, you're basically, are you like sitting and waiting to like make a decision via like, you have yourself at confirmation and send type of thing? Or, you're looking, you go, all right, now I'm going to create this to get out of this.
Oh, I'll show you. So I'll get to that in a second. Hold that thought.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Absolutely.
I might get sidetracked, so don't let me forget to answer that for you. So this would have been my entry here. And you know what makes this even better, Nix, is look at this. It pulled back up, hit the cyan, pushed down, started to come below. That is an absolute 10 out of 10. I will enter that every time. Nice. If it goes against me, my risk to reward is amazing, and that's what I want to trade. And then if it goes like it did, that was a pretty big move, bigger than it probably looks on this.
Right.
That's from 450 to 440 almost, right? So this move down, I probably would scale out here. And this is where I use the LRC. I'd scale out here. I'd scale out here, and then when this started pulling back up, I may exit, or I may hold a runner just to see if I get a pullback in continuation. But if I get this, this had a little gap up and a move, also in concert with the rest of the market, right? If I also see at this point, NASDAQ is going up, ES is going up, SPY is going up, Qs are going up, I just go ahead and exit. I take my profit and I wait. And then guess what happens? If, like this one did fail, right? But if I get a move and then a push back down, in this case, I probably would have re-entered right here in most cases. And I may have taken a loss on this one because I don't like to give like hindsight only the good things. This is legitimately what I would have looked for to get into a pullback entry on a downside on another put. You got your move up, it sold back below your level, looks beautiful, closed here, got your red below your close. This was an entry. Could have got in, maybe scaled out on this push if you had time. No telling. However, this one would have went back up, and then you would have closed twice above the 20 or the 200, and you would have exited with a potential loss in this regard. So there are times where this looked great, but may have taken a loss. Now, granted, you also have to realize I may not even consider getting in this because I'm also, and I think this is what helps me the most in trading, is I'm also watching in ES NQs, Apple, Qs. I'm watching what the other stocks are doing at that time. If they're going up, I'm not going to get into a put and hope that I just get something completely different than what everything else is doing. In some
Yeah.
cases in the past, we've been able to do that with Tesla because Tesla's kind of just been its own game. But as of yesterday, we realized Tesla went with the market, right? It dropped. It dropped right when the market dropped, and it dropped a lot. So that's another thing you just have to be cognizant of. And I don't know if I answered all of your questions. And if you want to, uh, have me look more deeply into your question, just let me know, Nix. But again, this is another opportunity. Um, One thing I would have to say that we talked about a little yesterday in our group, but I would challenge you guys to pay attention to this: the 20 EMA on a 2-minute time frame. If you're in a downtrend, right, and you come back, you come over the 20 and you fail it, that is an absolute bonus entry. So far, I would say I don't honestly know if it's 9 times out of 10, so don't hold me to my percentages or whatever, but I'll say 9 times out of 10, you're going to get almost a parabolic move. It's going to be a big move when you bump above and then go down. Same thing, look, pull back. Like a lot of times we just get these nice little stairs stepping down, but when you get above and then it fails it, look what you get. As long
Now
as
let me ask you this. So at the point of that green candle, that's the smaller one before that. I'm sorry.
right
Yeah.
here,
Yeah. Before the full red candle, what would have made you not think
this one here,
no, up one and then the next one, the green guy. Right. What would have made you not think that's an upward movement? Because you closed you closed above the 20.
because of this.
Okay. The 200.
Correct. And look how close it is to
Okay.
the 200.
Okay.
I
Okay.
I have
Okay.
to have a bigger gap. I'm never going to trade into the 200 this close
Got you.
because
Got you.
I've
Okay.
I've failed too many times. And the reason for that is when I discovered this trading strategy, all the failures that I had for the week. Granted, I was green every single day of the week the first time I ever traded it, and it was only with three. It was only with the red, cyan, and the red. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was before I started adding extra levels. And so the losses that I did take, I went back and I was trying to figure out what I did, and I'll try to make that really short and sweet. But what I did is I was trying to come up with a way to limit my losses. So I was putting in RSIs, MACDs. I was doing all these crazy, all I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of studies. Like
That's
I
I
did.
think a lot of us are at that. Like
Oh,
I mean, literally after you finish speaking, the question I wrote down to ask you is going to be so on point to that.
well, and I honestly, after I finally got to a point where I was like, "Oh, that's bogus," I deleted like 300 and something custom studies that I had. So to what I was explaining, well, what I found out is every time I actually had, with the exception of maybe one or two that week, but every time I had a loss, it was when I got in a trade like this, and I was trading
Right to the 200.
into the 200. But it took me adding the 220 on my chart for me to go, oh, okay. That was when I had a loss. That one's when I had a loss. So, okay, going forward, I'm not going to trade into the 200. So that was my rule. And then
Yep.
then as time went on, I realized that like when you're really extended and you got a big gap from the 20 to 200 and you get a big move up over your 20, you can trade back to it. But you need to be taking profit when you get to it or at least scaling out because most likely
Okay.
it's going to smack you down. Um, or it could just go right through it. You never know. But for me, I don't want to risk that. By the time I've made trades like that, I've already met my daily quota. I'm done.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't want to fool around with trying there. Now I will scale out and leave like a runner, but
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it's not anything that's going to impact me. But if you look at look at how you can use this strategy and with just using the 2-minute time frame and the 20 EMA, You come up, you break through, you're back in. You come down, and now I have for the group. I think most everybody's probably seen some of the stuff that I've came up with. Again, these are just my rules. You guys come up with your own rules, right? This is just something that I figured that when we get in markets that aren't really trending greatly or whatever, for me it's best to wait for two consecutive greens on a downward trend and exit. Wait and see if I get the pullback to the 20 and a rejection. This one may have got me stopped out because honestly, it looks good. Typically, I like to see a wick and buying pressure pushing down, but I know that in the past I've also taken these like this and had the continuation. This one may have got me and may have stopped me out once I got two closes above, which would have been right here.
Okay.
But for the most part, this is when you want to look to possibly get back into it, is right here. Once you, or actually here, you get this push back down, you get in, and you just hold. There's no reason to get out. It's pretty simple.
Right, there's a whole time you're below your 20 there.
Yeah, the whole time you're below your 20.
Okay.
Hey, Ray, you're live, just so you know. Oh, there you go. Hey, Nix, did you have any other question with that? I hope I answered your question well enough. If not, we can continue looking at it. Are you sure? I just want to make, okay.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry if I stepped on you, Nick, so I just want you to know that.
Oh,
hey, just a comment. I was watching some OV videos the other day and it finally clicked, Metal.
Yeah.
Why that works. The close flat 20 and 200, especially at the open.
Yeah.
I never realized it. It's because it means price was kind of consolidating.
Correct.
And we're going to get a squeeze.
Oh, yeah.
It never occurred to me until just the other day, finally. Oh, duh, we're about to get a squeeze.
Yes. That's why we get our big moves. And that's why they are my most important. They become priority. But you know, what's funny is sometimes we've had some that are wider and they just trade, but that, you can only trade probabilities and, and hope that that's the best way that it goes. Many times we're going to get into what may be the highest probability, and the one that looks like garbage is the one that trades the best on the day. But yes, you're correct. Once you tighten, it's because the price is tightening, everything's moving together, and then you get your big move out of that area. Yeah.
And I think also too, I think what you just said without knowing it in a way is that when you can say maybe to a trading formula, that's a great thing. Just being able to say maybe, which means that most likely happens more often.
Correct. And if and just so I'm sure you guys know this, but all those people out there, because I've been down that rabbit hole too, that have all these absolutes and these percents, and this is this strategy. No, there's nothing out there, guys. Only thing I can offer is I think that this strategy that I'm using works really well. The LRCs give us great levels. The 2200 gives us a great opportunity and understanding of what's happening at the moment. But you have to use everything: price action, support resistance, supply demand. You need to be paying attention to the rest of the market and what's going on. So it's not just one thing, and that's why a lot of those other indicators fail people so often, because they're based off of a couple things. Well, those couple things aren't looking at a support and resistance level that it's about to tell you to buy when you're going right into, and then you just get smacked. So there are some that work, and you can use them in conjunction. So if you guys like using those indicators, fine, but just be smart about it and use them at the time when they make the most sense. If you're coming out, even if you're not using an LRC level or whatever, say you're just using support and resistance lines, right? If you got to move up right here, and you're starting to reject this, and then your indicator fires, well, that's it. Use it then. So these indicators aren't like taboo. They're only taboo because what they do is they keep everyone from paying attention to what in the heck's actually happening in front of their face. Just always remember that every single indicator cannot possibly be given until price has already told it what to do. So price is king. Price action's king.
Right,
It's number
right,
one. It's always going to happen before anything else can ever happen.
right,
So,
right.
and I think some people, as well as I, you forget that you're looking for it to be the thing to give you the crystal ball part of the trade. Oh man, yeah, this MACD is showing it's going up. That doesn't mean anything. It can easily just turn and go right back down. It doesn't matter. But it's only showing you what price action is already starting to show you. So,
That that's so awesome, because what I have written down here to ask you is this: is that, how much and how important has it been since you felt that you were adding your manual support and resistance line versus just utilizing the version 5 prior to, or other versions where like you eventually said, I'm putting in manual support and resistance, like the differential between your adding versus just the version 5 or what have you working, how much has that made a change in the whole thing?
so honestly, I started out with the break and retest strategy. Well, it was the strategy that I came from when I started using the Anchored LRC, and the break and retest is strictly a manual level trading strategy where you go in and you chart out your manual levels and you wait for the break or the retest of those levels or the rejection, and that's your entry. Um,
Okay.
so the only issue that I had with that, and that's it, that's probably, in my opinion, the best type of strategy to trade, which is all levels, right? It's actual support and resistance levels. The only issue I had is I found myself having some, more, I'd say almost equal losses to wins. Um, and maybe part of that was just me not trading the best way that I could. Not, maybe more trading on hope and wanting something to happen versus I
Right.
think once I started trading the LRC strategy, it literally opened my eyes. It was like, holy crap, I can see all of this now. I can see why the price action is, why it's so important, what's actually happening with it, what to look for when it hits these levels. Um, so I think ultimately it just kind of, I literally just had an epiphany. I know that sounds silly,
Okay.
but
No, it
honestly, it's the
doesn't
truth.
actually.
I
Yeah.
truly feel that that's kind of how it happened. It was like all of a sudden there was clarity in trading where before I was stressed. I was anxious. I would, be up, I'd be frustrated with taking losses. Now I am as cool as a cucumber. I really am.
That's
It doesn't
awesome.
even matter. I get in. I'm like, hey guys, I'm getting in right here, and I'll exit if it goes here, and that's what I do. And if I take a loss, guess what? I take a loss, and that's it. I don't sweat that anymore. I used to all the time. So this strategy has also helped me with that. It's helped me to just be calm, and I think a calm trader is a better trader too. You're able to
Yeah.
manage manage your trades better.
Emotion.
You can be, yeah, you manage your emotions. You can be more disciplined. You don't sit and, I know one thing that's really hard. I still struggle with this. I think everyone will and everyone does. I struggle with um, sometimes when I'm at a level and I'm like, okay, this is my stop out. And I'm like, I should already be stopping out. But man, if it just turns around, I'll be back in the green. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more. Well, guess what happens? It continues
Right.
going down. So I give back more than I should have. So I should have just
Right.
stuck with my rules.
So
Um,
you didn't trust your levels.
Correct. Right, right. Or
Right.
my rules, right? Because I have like
Right.
a green,
Right.
green. I'm out. So that happens, and I think we're all human, and I deal with that every day. And I think sometimes what helps me a lot is making my videos, because when I go and I make my videos, I
Oh,
get
that's
to
cool.
review my mistakes and my errors, and I look at it, and sometimes I just shake my head. I'm like, I'm such an idiot because I knew better, but I was in the moment and I didn't see something that I should have seen. And that was
Right.
just like today, for instance, on the test, or which trade was it? The PLTR trade that I got in. I took a small loss on. Oh, wrong one. It was I didn't realize. The second move up, this should have told me right here. This is something else for you guys to just kind of look at. So I got in on the break. I got in on a break above the 75.30 level, and I was in profit. I did scale out at the green. Um, and when it came back down, I was above my 20 EMA. I was like, I'm just going to hold this
Mhm.
as long as I'm above my 20 EMA. So I did follow my rules in that regard. But what I missed was this. Whenever you guys get a big candle like this, and then there's no real follow through, no green close follow through above
Ah,
that candle, exit your trade. And if it continues and goes, don't be upset about it. Just be glad you followed a very important rule, because a lot of times when you get these big candles, these failed moves, and it doesn't have follow through, you're going to get slammed. And
okay.
a lot of times that happens. More times than you're going to get a little pullback in a move. So just be
Right,
real
because on
careful.
that particular scenario, it almost looks like the differential coming back down was close to 70% of the large green.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. So that's just something to pay attention to. Like if you notice that you're in you get this big candle and you're in, and then you're like, bam, here, just get exit the trade.
Right.
What is it going to hurt? You lock away some profit, and then you can live to, you don't take a loss, so then you're able to, get back in another trade. And, I know some people have small accounts, so it's very hard if you're trying to, um, limit the amount of times you get in so that you get those home runs. Those are difficult, but they're not so difficult. I think one thing I've learned about this particular strategy is I love the fact that I can be down. I've been down 12, 1400, 1800, 2100, 20. I've been down and literally just wait for the excellent setup, get in and make all my money back plus. And
Mm,
I've done that. Now, granted, getting down like that wasn't smart, but it's one of these strategies that you can legitimately make your money back. Now, if you have a small account, the thing is, once you take a loss, you take a loss. But the thing I would suggest to anyone with a small account is don't one try. I know you can't overtrade, but don't overtrade. Give yourself like a limit that that's all I'm going to lose. I'm going to just wait and wait for the next setup. Wait for like an A plus setup, and typically you'll be able to recognize that by watching the entire market and what it's doing. And you have to be patient sometimes, but be patient. Wait for ES to get to a level. Wait for NASDAQ to get to a level. If you're between levels, which we've noticed here a lot lately, like ES will get above a level, but NASDAQ is still below a level. Do not get in. Wait. As
mm,
much as people FOMO in and out all the time, and people will
yeah.
FOMO in expecting, well, I'm just going to get in because ES is over. Nope. Guess what happens? Qs and Nasdaq will slap you and bring it right back down, and it's not worth it. So that's why I always tell everyone, wait for both. Wait for all of our levels to be crossed, guys, because all you have to do is wait, and you'll be in profit, and everything will be good, and you can go about your business. Um,
Right.
so
Right.
just a really important thing I think for everyone to think about, and to just to help to manage their losses is wait for the best setup. And the best setup is going to be based off of levels, based off of maybe breaks of consolidation. um, I mean, you can see this right here, how good this was. You had a extended, you had pushing up, you can see it's weakening, 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 drops back below the 20 EMA. It's kind of telling you what's going to happen. One of the things I love seeing is you have the yellow, an area where it's been consolidating on, right? And then once you finally get a break, some of these breaks don't always go, but you know, I mean, if you're going to trade, you have to be a trader and trust that this is a setup that you're looking for. You get in and you ride it down. Um,
Now, let me ask you this real quick. How much do you find that you utilize your support and resistance in the differential between trusting the LRC that you created? Like, I
um,
guess my point is that like you said earlier, manuals, SNRs are subjective, but the the LRC is not, in a way, right? It's fixed.
Correct.
So how much do you find that you utilize your levels in comparison to making decisions in comparison to the thought that the LRC is a fixed entity and you've created your own support and resistance?
That's a great question. So I would say for me, it's really kind of funny because I've noticed in many times where I've made my manual levels, and there's another guy, Desi Trades. He's with Options Insider. He does a fantastic job doing levels. If any of you
Okay.
guys want him, look him up on YouTube. The Options Insider. He gives a free every single morning at 8 a.m. a free technical analysis where he does the same levels. So I'm getting off track, but I will answer your question. What he
No,
does,
it's
what
fine.
he does, and I will actually compare not just his but others with my levels to just to see if some other traders are seeing something that I'm not seeing, or if maybe there's a little bit of an area where I feel like I'm pretty darn good at it. It's not that hard to do, right? It's actually really simple to do.
No, you
But
definitely look very good at it.
but
Don't get me wrong.
but I mean, but there are times when I'll have a level and I'll go and he's like, he'll have maybe 10 points away or 10, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I didn't notice that pivot here. I like his area better. And there's times where I'm like, no, I like my area better. So I do compare it, and it's only because I want to be as good as I can be at what I'm doing. I don't, care. I don't have an ego that's like, nope, I'm only
Yep,
using mine.
always learning.
Right? So, but also to answer your question, I say the support and resistance levels take priority over my LRCs in that
Okay.
if I have a level, for instance, just like the levels on ES and NASDAQ, let me pull those up real quick. These levels are massive, right? We know that these are big, big. Look at that drop, guys. Woo, boy.
Oh my Lord.
Woo, boy. So much for my SPX calls. But these levels that we've been using for quite some time, let me just kind of go back.
Oh, look at that
Yeah,
too.
yeah, you know that they are going to matter, right? So the real funny thing, and this may or may not really answer your question, but the real funny thing is there's been several times where like my LRC will be here and price will go right to my LRCs and reject off of those more than they do the the 22,200 hypothetically, this conversation. Um, and I'm like, well, dang, it went right to my LRC. And I do call that out in the, kind of a pat on my own back. But, in their server, I'll be like, look, it actually went through and hit this one instead of that. But they do matter and they do take priority to me because I know that those are massive buyer and seller levels where the algos are looking at them, market makers,
Yep.
every recreational traders looking at them. So I know that they matter. And so therefore they do take precedence. For instance, if I'm trading from here on NASDAQ and I get a move all the way to here, I'm taking profit. I am not
Right.
expecting this thing to go and get above. It did, but I'm not expecting it. I'm going
Right.
to
In hindsight, it did. Right.
correct. I'm looking for this thing to go boom like it did over here on this 2200, right? So this could be that exact same scenario that we're looking at there. And look what happened. You're trading up, you hit, and boom, straight back down to these levels, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, they do take precedence in my daily trading.
Okay.
They do matter to me, and I think when I'm using my grids, what makes it so nice is I can see where every price is getting close to them. So it
Right.
does help me to then use that as a guide for uh, taking trades or exiting trades. Okay. Secondly,
Awesome.
one thing that that I can say for you guys to pay attention to while using the LRC is it is absolutely money incredible for pullback re-entries. I
Okay.
kid you not, it has been so key lately. Where it's not the best day to use for. Let me see if there's anything I can show. Um, for so many days now that we've been watching, say price. I'm just trying to see if I can find something. Price getting below, or it'll get outside of the yellow or the red, and when you get your pullback to that area, and then it bounces like this right here is just absolute beautiful. We missed this. I missed this today, but check out this retest.
Now, what is this on?
This is
Metal?
Apple.
Okay.
248 level. Check that out. You break above, you go up, you consolidate between the red and the yellow. You come back down and look at your buying power right here. That's telling you almost everything you need to know, guys. Right there, that candle comes down, gets smacked back up. You get a green close over your 20 EMA, and here it is, off to the races. That's just to me absolutely gorgeous. That's what you want to see happen. Break, retest, and boom. But to I think I may have got sidetracked, but anyhow,
No, it's all right.
What were you asking me?
We were talking about your manual lines versus
yes,
just utilizing the version 5 or whatever it is, LRC.
Right. So one thing I know what I was talking about, but it was the pullbacks to the levels. So what we've been noticing quite a bit lately, and one of our traders, Seb, shout out to Seb, he has basically almost mastered seeing it and catching it. He'll be like, yeah, I'm in this one. And I'm like, what'd you get in? And he'll call it out. And what he does is he'll wait for a move down below, a pullback to the LRC, and a rejection, and he gets in. And man, have they been so consistent and good for him. So, anyhow, that's what I was alluding to earlier, is the pullbacks to the levels. And again, you can see what I was talking about. Like, this is a level, right? But look where the green actually hit. I mean, it hit right on the green.
Oh, okay. So the purple dash is a level drawn.
This one is a level drawn.
Okay.
This is a manual level. My pink these are supposed to be red, but it's not really red. So I wish I could change
regardless,
that.
but that's right. Okay.
But
the dash, the light dash green nailed, which is the LRC. It nailed it, is what you're saying. Compared to the pink.
Yeah. It kind of broke through it. But, this is an area, right? So always remember that when you draw in these manual levels, or I provide them, it's not an exact point.
Of course.
Price can come above or below. You just want to focus on price action around that level. That's what's going to give you your understanding of what's coming. Like when you get something like this and you see consolidation, just wait and see. If you break below, get in. If you break back above, get in.
It gives you another line for confirmation in a way.
Correct. And to add to one of the things you said, one of the other things I'd love to see when I'm trading is if I do have a major level and the 20 or the 200 is right on it, and the LRC, and it crosses, that's just that's like 100 out of 100 times I am taking that trade.
Right.
Because I'm literally right at my risk out level. So the risk to reward is incredible. You're not going to get any better in trading. You're just not. You're right on your level.
Right.
You're right at your risk out levels. So,
thank you very much. That was a very good answer to what I asked.
Okay. Anyone else have a question? I think we just lost Robin, and I think she wanted to ask me how to do something today. But anyway, maybe she'll come back in.
Hi.
Hey, Lita.
Hey, Metal.
Hey.
Hi. I was very late coming in.
Oh, no worries.
What I wanted to ask, probably Robin also wanted to understand how to draw the long LRC. I don't know if you covered that.
I did not, but I will do that right now if you'd like.
Nick and Robin both wanted to understand how to do long LRC.
Sure.
What my question was on the Anchored version 5, all of these deviations, standard deviations, it starts with the 1, 2, 3, and we have up to 6. Is there any weightage that you put that could be put on either the red or the yellow or the green? Or is it just equal and you just observe what price is doing at each level? Is there any weightage? Red is more important than yellow, or yellow more important than green?
I would say yes, there's some that are more important. However, like once we break out of them, I feel like it then becomes a whole new range to look at. But so when you're on the one multiplier, the yellow has always been to me I'd have to say originally the red was because that's your one deviation. But what I found, and now this is, I'm going to talk in a circle here, so I apologize for that. But it also depends on the stock or the whatever you're trading, whatever stock or ticker you're trading, it does matter. I have noticed that some respect the yellow far more than the red. The yellow is the two deviation, right? The the red is the one deviation using the one multiplier. So let's forget about the whole the multiplier part of it. This is set up as my standard, the way I traded from the very beginning. Red was 1, yellow was 2. I then started adding 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. What I've noticed is, and that also holds true to the long LRC. When you look at the long LRC, when you're drawing these in, you'll notice that the 1 is pretty massive for the big moves. Okay. Not always. Sometimes it's your 1.5s or your 2.5s, but consistently across the board, your 1 or your, now this is my 2 on my long LRC. Usually on the long LRC, I will notice that once we break the 2, we're having a new trend change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, again, nothing is automatic, nothing is absolute, not always, but the more you play with it and use it yourself, you'll notice that like, especially if you have what I would call the super long LRC, where I'm back for months. And I'll draw one real quick because I think she wanted to see one. So at least it will be,
Yeah.
it will at least be in my, and I'm just going to get rid of all my stuff and clean up this
I'm not
chart.
recording this session by any chance, Medley?
I'm sorry?
You're not recording this session by any chance?
Yes, I am.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
Come here, baby. I'm sorry, my daughter wants to give me a kiss goodnight.
Beautiful.
Good night.
How old? Oops.
Okay, sorry about that.
How old's your daughter, by the way?
She is 11. I have 4 kids. She's my
Wow.
youngest.
I already got a grandchild, and my daughter's 32.
I actually have a brand new grandchild, and they're staying with me right now until they move out.
Congrats.
Yeah. She's a beautiful little thing. Okay, so first I'm just going to I'm going to draw the LRC, and I use the linear regression tool, the regression channel tool in TOS, and I customized it. And these are the settings, so I'll let this sit here for a few seconds, and anybody can zoom in or can freeze this on the live recording, go back and write them in. But it's really simple. It's 0.5, 1, 1.5, and 2, and then the negative of all of those. Negative 0.5, negative 1, negative 1.5, and negative 2. You can also do 0.75s, 1.75s if you want. Sometimes it matters. I try not to muddy the waters too much, but there are some stocks that you will see that the 0.25 will be like right here. I'll just show you real quick. So I haven't even adjusted this one, but let me just add a curve. I'll add a 0.25 and look where that hit. Yeah. So some of them work, and they can be necessary, especially if you're trading more intraday, kind of like the way I trade. Now, if you want to use this for more of a long-term swing trade, all you have to do is wait for it to come down, hit, and reject a big level and get in.
Okay.
And then if it doesn't work, guess what? Yeah, get out. So And
Now
okay,
now answer. I only say this because the long LRC. Like, how do you create that? Because I think that's what
yes,
she was asking as much, right?
I'm actually about to go through that setup. So
Okay.
basically, I'm on a 4 hour. I usually I start on either a 4 hour or a 1 hour. Sometimes I'll even go to a daily or a weekly if I need to go back further. There was a point in time where I was going back because of the type of trend that we were in. It was a few months ago. I was all the way back in like October of 23, and it mattered because all those levels were getting hit just constantly. So
Okay.
I use that, and those I refer to. So if you guys ever hear me refer to super long LRC, that's what I
Mm.
want. I was trying to come up with a way to explain what they were, but they were really far back. And then what I'll do is I'll come to the most recent trend change, and if as you can see, this is pretty much it, right? Kind of right here. And then what I'll do is I'll delete that. I just come in, I'll get right around this somewhere. I'll pull all the way to the right. I set it in, and then I just start looking at where it's pivoting. Where were the,
That's where I started at right there. This
yeah,
is where I started with you.
okay. And then what you want to do is you want to just find where the pivots are the most, um, have the most action, right? And I'm pretty much close right there. And if you notice, look at, you can see what I'm looking at. One thing that is pretty cool about this, you'll also notice that when you're on a really good level, you have consolidation that literally just moves up it. Keep in mind, these are 4 hour candles. So these things are steadily just moving up this line right here. And your break of that consolidation is absolutely, a potential entry for another trade to the upside. But look how it rode it here. Okay. And
Mm.
so I'll note it. And then like this went below it, but when it came back, this was really your area. And look at all the consolidation here, riding up. And then it
Mm.
finally broke, got to the next level. So when we're trading in our Discord, sometimes what I will do is I'll just tell everyone, hey, we're breaking along LRC area. Just be prepared for it to either kick back or maybe it's going to get over, retest, and move to the whole next leg. And if that's the case, we get really great moves. Say we got in here and it comes up to here and we're in it, it gets above. I let everyone know, hey, we're moving above along LRC level. And then if it continues, then we all kind of have an idea. I mean, it can pull back, of course, but you look to try to at least for it to get to the next leg up. Does it
Mm.
always? No. It's just, we have an idea of that's what may happen. And
Okay.
and right now you can see Apple, it's kind of went up and down below the mean. The pink line is the mean. Came down,
Right.
consolidated
Look at
on
that.
this,
Yep.
consolidated, and then kind of slowly moved back up. But look what it's doing now. Came down, retested, and pushed back up. Well, with this breakdown in the market, guess where it's coming? See all that
Mm.
looks like a huge loss today, right? But look, it's not even hardly anything on a 4 hour chart.
Right.
Eh, just here's what I would say to pay attention to. Pay attention to when it gets back.
Right.
Uh,
What happens at that point?
Yeah, and most likely with Apple, it's probably going to get here. We'll have a
Bounce.
correction in the market, and you can catch this thing to the upside. Um,
Oh.
but for me, if I'm trading puts and I see it get to this level, and the good thing is that I'm doing this myself, so I urge everyone to do it themselves. And the reason for that is it can help you to remember what you're looking at. Because I tend to remember, like, oh, yes, I remember that it has now rejected this LRC line several times. So I'm looking for it to reject it again. Or if it gets below it, it could be a really massive squeeze and a
Right.
big
Right.
move because it's tested, it
Right.
tested, it tested. And we all know once you've tested something so many times and it finally fails, it can then go, right?
Right.
So,
And it's not by and due to the fact that you've seen this and it's not by accident in a way.
oh no, 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 no.
Right.
These things
Right.
are
So
so
I mean
spot
there
on,
is
it'll
the
blow your mind. I mean, it's
right. So
incredible.
it's not like the inevitable, well, it isn't always going to, which is the anomaly. It's
Mhm.
more about
What may happen.
most of the time.
Yep, yep,
Right.
yep. And that's the way I trade. I don't ever try to trade based on what I think I know. I try to trade based on what I see and what I hope will happen at a level, or what I think is happening at a level. And that's the best I think we all can do. If we get into this game of trying to predict, that's when you're going to lose.
Right.
So I don't try to predict it. I just know that at this level, it may very well reject, and and it may it may blast right through it. So
Awesome.
so I think that explains how to use it. Again, it is subjective, everyone. You can move this thing around however you want. And just keep in mind, and here's something I'll show you too. Let me move this to where I get a little bit closer to these levels. Okay.
Greg, can you show?
So I want to show this real quick on a 2-minute. That's what the 2-minute looks like. So it's a lot different when you're trading during the day. You're getting this move all the way down, and then bam, you see it stop right on it. So that's like what we're watching intraday when we're trading. Of course, it's not the day when we had a dump like this. It's not always like that. But when we see it coming down, this is what I will see in my chart, and I call it out and I say, hey guys, we're coming up to a long LRC. Just get ready to scale out, take profit, do what you want to do, but I'm just letting you know you're approaching one right now. And sometimes we'll get like this far away from one and then it rejects. That's why I always say you're getting close to one. I don't know how accurate the 2-minute is going to be from a 4-hour timeline that we drew, because it's not the same. And so you have to understand that you need to consider this as a level. It's not a it's an area.
Right. It doesn't have to dead on nail the point. It's
correct.
more about the right. Okay.
Yeah, and then you just have to.
I'm sorry,
focus.
I didn't mean to step on you.
Oh, no worries. Go ahead. I think someone was asking a question.
Yeah, I didn't mean to step on her. Right.
It's me. Can you put the actual I guess the dimensions on the screen again?
Oh yeah. Yep. And I am recording it if you want to go back. But yeah, and I will when we're in Discord, I can help you with it too, Nix. I mean when we're trading or preparing to trade daily. This is all I do. I mean, if you want, you can match the colors. I don't typically call out the colors with my long LRC. What I will call out is it's hitting my 1 deviation or it's hitting my 2 deviation, which when I say 2 when we're trading, I usually say, hey, we're hitting an outer line. And that lets you know that, hey, when it breaks, it's going sometimes.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Of course, that was not a great example because it's not even a trend, but you know what I'm saying. But I do start with a 1 hour, and you can even do this on a smaller level. Like you can go down to 30-minute if you want. I just don't want it to be too busy for me. But you can go, like, say you're in you get a pretty strong up move, but you're still in a let's say you're in a trend, a longer term trend, but you get a down move or an up move over like 2 or 3 days. You can go in, and if you want to, you can actually just draw your LRC right like that and then trade that in that day.
So this is where I get a little confused. So I'm writing down as the version 5 LRC. Should we be moving and changing that?
Oh, no. The version 5 is a
you.
set indicator.
Got you. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
okay.
And that auto sets at 4 a.m. to 9:29 every day unless you change that in the settings. So I'm going back to that now and I'll show it to you. Here's the settings. Well, no, that's the script. Here's the settings. Oh, did it hit it? Yeah, there it is. So start time 4 a.m. End time 9:29. You can mess around with this if you want, but that's the one that works. And then these are just your deviations. So that always starts, and that's why you don't see it. You only see it the day that you're trading.
Got you.
So at 4 in the
Okay.
morning, when the market starts for the next day, this LRC will disappear and it will show up. The new one will show up over there.
Okay. So back to what her question was
Mm-hmm.
prior, Vix, is that, or Nick's, was the long, because I've been confused by that also. So the long LRC is what's manually drawn?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay.
The long LRCs are the one I just drew. Those are all, I manually draw those
Got
on
you.
every single chart. And
Got you.
and you
Okay.
can see them. Let's see if I go to just like my clean chart, I can get, you can see them. They're right there. Let me go to, I'll go to a 4 hour. But like SMCI, I have two. I have a super long and I have the most, and this is what I was saying. So you can have a trend, a downward trend over a month or so, but then you can see you hit a pivot and you start moving up. And I drew in a secondary, what I would just call my long LRC, from here up to see if it gives me some good areas to trade to, and it does. So
Now, what are the dashes in regards to what we normally see?
dashes.
The little blue dashes.
This one here.
Yeah, like all of those.
Oh,
like
I'm
in
sorry.
regards to,
I'm
like,
sorry.
okay.
This is my chart that I do my charting, but I also when I
Oh, okay.
when I
okay.
put in my technical levels, these are my daily SMAs, and I have all of these. I share all of these in the
Okay.
in my Discord. You can have all my indicators. It's actually even also on the Use ThinkScript forum. My workspace, my charts are in there, so it all comes on it. So basically, what I did here is I created a daily SMAs. These are not moving. These are not like your moving averages. These are daily moving averages, so they don't ever
Okay.
change. No matter what time frame you're on, they're consistently in the exact same spot. So I always use the 20, 50, 100, 200. I will never trade without them on my charts.
Okay.
They're huge. They
Hey,
are
Metal.
massive. Yes.
Go ahead. Bruce, can
Hey.
I ask you a question?
Oh, yeah, please.
Can you be able to share that through ThinkScript for your long LRC? I
Oh,
don't know how to get it.
oh,
'Cause
there's no, you have to set it yourself. There isn't a
Right.
script for it, Bruce. It's you just
Oh,
have
there isn't.
no. See, it's
Can
your
you post the
yeah,
numbers
yeah.
on
It's right
each
here.
line?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you?
I can tell them to you, and now I'm posting it right now. Oh, I can put them in the Discord as well.
Yeah, can you put them into Discord?
Absolutely. Yeah, give me one sec.
On the general or what?
Yeah, I'll put it in general, and then I'll also put it in I'll put it in our learning channel, so you
All
can
right,
go
thank
there
you.
and grab it as well.
Enough.
Yeah, no problem. I just put it in the non-members chat so the others can get to it as well. But this is just the settings that I use: 0.5, 1, 1.5, and 2. That's all it is. And then
I
you.
think if I can make a suggestion in some sense, is that and this is only from a guy who's laying in bed and watching 12 of your videos in a row. It's that one of the things that I was somewhat questioning until I get to talk to you was, even though I know you say, the long LRCs are manually drawn,
Right.
I think could be a feeling of that, like, for me, I felt like I was missing the support and resistance line, even though that I knew it was manually drawn from hearing you say that, compared to looking at your chart and what we all have with the version 5 and going, where are all these things? Like, this guy has all these things on here,
Right.
even though you say that, it could somewhat be like where you feel like you're not following you exactly,
Right.
in a way.
Right. I'm not real sure how else to label them or call them, but
No.
maybe I could call them a
agree.
linear regression channel, and that might help to keep from or use your linear regression tool to draw the long LRC or the.
Right.
I just try to make it something simple and easy to explain and say, hey, but Robin, I know that you wanted the long LRCs. I have already explained it, and I don't mind doing it again if you like. But I am recording this, so I'll share the video. It's on YouTube, and that way you can go back and review whatever part you want. But I'll do a real quick synopsis of how to do it, just so that way you can see. So basically, when I'm doing a long LRC, I'll go to a 1 hour or 4 hour. I grab the linear regression tool, this one here, and then I'll just come up here and I'll draw it, right? I don't even care where it hits when I first place it. And then what I do is I pay attention to the pivot points. And what I attempt to do is to get the majority of the bigger moves or the consolidation areas to hit key levels. So I'm pretty close on a couple of these, but it looks like I need to move it like maybe down a little. And sometimes it takes me a little bit of time to get these exactly the way I want them, because I do want them to be somewhat accurate, because on the 2-minute chart, we want to really have these things get close and let us know that, hey, this is a time to possibly get out of a trade. And so as you can see, I'm moving, I'm kind of battling with a couple of these not hitting, and they're not all going to hit. That's why this is a very subjective tool and a way to do it. But I would say I'm getting pretty close, and without me spending a ton of time doing it, that's exactly what I do. And I'll just move these. Oh, and there's one other thing I want to point out that I've noticed over time too, guys, is when you have when you're putting in the linear regression tool, the great thing is you're in a downtrend, right? On a 2-minute time frame, you can't necessarily always see that this is coming down. Of course, this one's steeper, but if it wasn't as steep, sometimes these things just look flat, right? So the good part about knowing that you're in a downside or in a downward trend, and this is why I said it was really important earlier for you to do these yourself and not just copy what I'm giving, although I don't mind giving them. Like if you guys ever need or want, hey, what are your long LRCs for Apple? Just ask. All I have to do is go in and click it. I'll copy the begin point and the end point, and that's what you put in, and you'll have the exact same level. Okay. Now, you can only edit this. TOS only allows you to edit the begin point, meaning you can add these in manually. The end point, you'll have to just pay attention to that and drag to 9/30/24 date around 3 p.m. until you get it where you want it. Okay. So unfortunately, they don't allow you to put in both. I wish they did. But the real important thing to pay attention to here as well. So we know that SMCI has been in a pretty massive downtrend, right? One thing that I've noticed is during the days when you get these, now it's not always, but it's something to kind of pay attention to. And if you see consolidation sideways and then you break a level to the downside, your downside moves are massive. You get consolidation, you pull over, downside. You kind of get a little bit of move back up, downside. Straight. These look like they're moving up, and they are, right? On a 2-minute time frame, this looks like it's a big move up. But when it gets over to this level, boom. Same thing. This is almost sideways, although it might be a hair up. But look what happens. Gets here, bam. Always just keep that in the back of your mind that when you're using these, that you're looking for this thing to hit one of these levels. And if you start seeing it go down, if you have something like this and you have a trend line drawn and you break it, there's your entry.
Okay.
Right? It just gives you a good idea that, okay, this may be another big dump at the levels. It doesn't always do that. You can see that there's some times where you'll have a down and you'll have a big up, a down and a decent size up. Since consolidation, and this was more up, but when it hit, it went back down. It did gain some ground here, gained more ground here, but then finally dumped. So just something to kind of throw out there that I've noticed, that it's really cool to be able to notice what a true consolidation in a bigger time frame is happening, and then you get a big move. So that could be levels that you guys just draw on your charts yourselves and just wait for them to happen, right? You could literally just come in and go, okay, I like what's happening here. When this breaks, I'm in, right?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Or even like this one. Actually, this one's a really nice one here. I would have probably, now these are 4-hour candles, so these are several days, but that would have been a days of consolidation, and then you broke here, boom. Right? So it's just something else to look at, something to give you a little bit of, oh, okay, now I know I'm in a downtrend, so I'm looking for really bigger downside moves. The only time I would say that that may change is like you see, oops, I keep doing that with this drawing tool. Say you have this level right here, right? I would say your move back above this is now you're possibly going to be in a trend change direction. Maybe it could come back up to here and still go down, and you're still in a downward trend. But what I've also noticed is once we get outside the second deviation, that's when the trend, this overall trend, has broken. Can it happen before that? Sure. You could have it go, up from here and it be a broken trend. But a lot of times that's when I'll tell the group also that I'm noticing we're crossing the outer line, and that's when the trend is broken. Or could be. We've also had them come right back in
from a standpoint of forward movement.
Instead of looking for a downside movement on this, now we've basically, now it has changed its direction. It may start going back up now.
Oh, okay.
Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yep. And this actually could set up to be that's actually a good level you guys could put on your charts for SMCI 4950. Could be a little head and shoulders setup. This goes back here and goes up. That could be huge in days to come. But anyone else have any other questions about the long LRC or the strategy or just trading in general?
Well, I do, and I didn't want to ask because I know I've been somewhat over asking, but in your experience overall, right? So right now, to be honest with you, I've been somewhat back to trading from 5 years removed, right? So I've been watching a lot of the Ross Cameron stuff online, and yours, obviously. Two different perspectives, right? So one is more option selling, one is more getting into momentum stocks early and the whole news and the whole early stuff. So I guess my question is, because I'm interested at the end of the day to making percentage on money, right? I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yep.
So overall, do you feel that this system is more, and I mean the whole system from a version 5 and the long LRCs, the whole thing is more meant towards larger stocks in an option sense than looking at stocks from a buy and sell point of view?
That's a good question. I think that you could buy and sell shares with this. It's all the same thing, right? We're trading levels, and you're literally trading everything just like you would be trading. I mean, we use the stock's price to trade the options anyway. I don't watch this on, and I don't watch the options chain when I'm doing this. I don't pull up. For instance, I don't go to. Here, I'll just grab one real quick. Oh, that's my SPX. That's my trade. Don't even want to look at it. Don't even want to look at it. Okay, so this is going to answer someone else's question. Let me do all of this in one time.
Great.
This is good because I know someone had asked. One of the other ways that I trade really quick is in the morning when I see the setups and I'm starting to notice that the setups that I want to get into. I will. I set up a watch list I labeled calls, and a watch list that I labeled puts.
Okay, that's great.
And so what I do, and like I said, I'm not biased. I don't care which way it goes as long as I catch the move and make the money off of it. So I'll go in and let's say I'm interested in SMCI. I copy, I paste, I copy, I paste. I do that all day long. Like in the morning. Most of the guys in the group will say, hey, what are you looking at? And I'll tell them all the ones I have loaded so they can preload them as well. And then I may miss a couple here or there. That happens. I get busy. I'm talking whatever, and I'll miss some. But and then I'll see like sometimes I miss the beginning of a move because I'm like, oh crap. So I got to go over here, get let's say square up and grab it,
Right,
put it
right.
in. And it's not at the end of the world because I trust the levels enough that I'm like, okay, if I miss a little bit, no big deal. I'm expecting it to go, right? And then so when I'm trading, I'll just click these I have set as red, 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 and my active trader is red. Okay.
Okay.
This I have yellow. These I have uncolored. I don't want them to ever change. They stay here. That way they don't move. That nothing happens with these. So whatever I'm going to trade, say I get into a trade like I was talking about earlier, and I get into SMCI calls, and right away I do a breakout trade, right? Let's say I call out, hey, I'm doing a breakout trade. If it goes up, I'm getting above the 88 level. If it fails in that same candle, I'm exiting. I'm not going to chance it. So sometimes I've done that. It goes up, goes above the 200. I get in. It fails. The next candle's red below. Well, guess what? I have them loaded. I then buy puts and catch it to the downside.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and that's how I do it so quickly. I load them up here.
Yeah, I asked that earlier, actually. Yep.
Oh, okay. And so the other thing the only other thing I will do, like let's just say for instance, stock has moved down. It's down here, and I see it setting up again, but I still have these loaded. Well, this one, let's just say it was a $9 a contract, right? Say I'm trading SPX or whatever. Well, if it's already down here, that thing's already at like $16 or maybe $20 a contract. Well, I don't want to buy in on that because I'm way too far in the money. I want to be at the money. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly go over, grab the one I want. I'll post over it, and then I'll paste it right over it. So I copy right over. That way I don't get it too muddy. And then then all I do is click on it and just make sure you're loaded. That's the most important thing because I have done that. I've had some happy mistakes lately, but I was on a call on one trade and I went to go to another trade. I clicked it, but I guess I misclicked. It didn't change it. So I entered, and the stock that I wasn't interested in was the one that took off, and I was like, okay. Sometimes luck is better than experience or or being good. So
right.
That happened, I think, 2 weeks ago to me. So
I remember watching that, I believe.
Lita, go ahead.
During the bloodbath. Yeah, during the bloodbath yesterday.
Yeah.
I had a really good coin setup happen. It was pulling up during that sell-off. It was pulling up to 20, and I wanted to load the put, but I loaded the call instead.
Oh no!
That is something to watch out for.
Yes,
always.
yes,
I mean,
and you know that is a
different call. That's different, but you put up a put instead of a call.
Yes, super good point. I have actually made that mistake before, where I accidentally put a put in my call and I didn't know it. And I went to buy calls and I clicked on the put, and you don't really notice it because price at the money's similar. So when you're active trader, I've literally had to get out of trades really quick because I realized, wait a minute, I should be gaining, and oh crap, I have the wrong one. Nomac can attest to that. He's heard me do it. He's heard me do it live. So the one thing that I do wish that TOS could do for us, I know they put the C, right? That's about all you have is the little C and the P. So I try to make sure that this is expanded enough to see those to help. But man, I would love that if they could color this like all call colors would be purple and all put colors could be pink. I don't care, but that would be so awesome if they could do that. Because I have made that same mistake before, Lita. Had the same.
Or change the background.
Right.
Calls are white and the black or something.
Something, yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I may, I don't want to overstate my.
Oh no! Everybody just ask. It's fine.
So to answer Putseller's question about Ross Star and the level trading stuff.
Nathan, corre para allá. Ponte para allá, para arriba las almohadas, que vamos.
Hey, Ray, Ray, you're live. If you could mute your mic, that would be great. I couldn't hear you, Lita. Say again.
Tranquilito. Ahí, duerman como hermanitos lindos que se quieren mucho.
I don't think you can hear me. Hey, Ray.
Can you mute him? Middle?
I'm trying.
You could mute him too.
I'm trying to see if it'll let me mute him. Okay, yeah. Let me see if
He did.
I don't know if does that mute him from you guys as well?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Go ahead and talk again, please.
Yeah. So I don't know if you were continuing to answer the previous question that Teller had put up about the momentum trading and the levels trading.
Oh yes.
I just
So man, that's a tough one because honestly, it really depends on. That's an individual thing, right? So there are times I've done really well momentum trading. I have never done as well as I've done trading this strategy ever. Not even close ever. It's not even. So I'm going to be biased in my answer with that because it's only my experience. Cameron, does he have like some really thing special set up? I believe so, where he can find those momentum trades and take them with high, real quick in, real quick out. He makes about 10, 15, 20,000 and he's done. Yeah, I mean, that's an amazing way to trade and it's a good way to trade. But to say whether one is better than the other, I think there's a lot that's involved with that, right? One is account sizes. Can you afford to buy 30,000 shares of something and then, and sell them or however many or 5,000 shares? Can you trade this strategy? Answering that part of the question. Absolutely. There's guys that trade this strategy trading futures. Knight, one of a guy that's been with us for a while in the server, he trades futures pretty much permanently now, and he uses this strategy to do it. And he also has other strategies that he uses. He has some auto trading things that he's been working on, but um, I don't know if I'm answering totally, but it is all totally. It's completely different styles of trading. The momentum trading. Um, could it be used in this? Maybe you might actually be able to take some of those. Um, Most of his are pre-markets though. He usually trades. Speaking of Cameron, he typically trades pre-market and he's done before the day even opens, before the market even opens. Um, so I don't think that would be. I don't think it would be something you could use. You may be able to use it. I have not ever really tested that. You might be able to use um, but yeah, you might be able to use LRC or maybe a manually drawn in linear regression to try to trade that way. The problem with trying to use the anchored LRC is anchored LRC is not a thing until the market just before market closes because that's when it finally settles. Because if you haven't noticed, like it constantly moves because of price, and that's how it's deciding its levels throughout pre-market.
Yeah. Absolutely right. What I feel is what he does is it's very, very low, low cap, small cap.
Yes.
And very low, what do you call it? The number of floating shares in the market are very low. So
very
those
low float. Yeah. So it moves fast. Yeah.
Low float. Yeah, low float. So those tickers don't have any history really.
Correct.
It could be like, a very straight line. So there is no way of putting up long LRC on it. Or
in most of them, right? Yes, I agree with you there.
Probably not work. Yeah, on the low float stocks, this strategy works the best with the levels and the long LRC and the anchored LRC for established tickers that have a long history and have a long history of patterns that we can observe. And that gives us the conviction and the foundation to
yes,
figure out. which his strategy is completely different from that point of view. And because he's low float and small cap and very small cost, so he can throw a lot more at it because the per share cost is low when he gets going. And he relies on it's same as options. See how option changes many percent. So from $2 it could go to $10. Like that, his ticker can go from $2 to $10. He's doing the exact same thing, but the vehicle is different.
Correct.
Right. Well, the thing is too is that it's all at the end of the day, it's about percentages of money.
Well, that is true. That is true. And it depends on the percentage that you're looking, and you know that's one of the discussions we've had recently in our group. Like some people ask me, well, how do you know when you want to get out? Is it at a certain percentage? You know, that varies with me. It's not something, I am not static in any way whatsoever. Sometimes it's based on the move. Sometimes the market tells me, okay, you're done. You're getting all you're going to get. Sometimes I'll be up. Well, great example. The other day I was in an SPX call and I was up 100 and I can't remember what the percentage was, but I was up like 111%. And it started like consolidated and fluctuate. And I'm like, you know what? That's enough. I'm taking profit.
Yeah,
I'm moving
look,
on.
you're not being
I'm,
greedy.
I'm moving on. And so sometimes the percentage, you know, it does play a factor. And there's actually a really good way for people with low accounts to grow their account. And I think by trading percentages, it can do two things. It can handicap you a little bit or slow down your growth. However, it can be more consistent growth. And what I mean by that is like if you're like, okay, every time I get 10%, I'm out. Guys, I don't know how many people are here have been trading with me for a while. We hit 10% so easily every day. It's nuts. I don't even look at 10% as anything to trade to, because we literally hit that every day, all day long, no problem. And that's not bragging. It's just a fact. We do. So, but if you wanted to trade as someone with a small account and build your account, maybe that 10%, and I'm talking about on the trade. I'm not talking about of your account. I'm talking about 10% per trade. So that obviously would obviously vary per, you know, whichever stock or what the contracts are cost and so on and so forth, right? But if you're, and that's what I meant, like if you're looking to trade just 10% on a trade, or say 50%, get 50% on a trade, what is that, is a part, how much is that of in relation to your account size? That's obviously going to change dramatically for everybody. So you have to either pick levels to trade to, you have to have, you know, maybe percentage per trade or profit. Like, okay, I'm happy if I make $100 every single day, and that gives me 500 for the week, and then I do it again next week, and then next week. That's not a difficult goal. That's an absolute easy goal to hit. I feel.
Right. Right.
There was times when I just wanted to make the 100 a day, and I couldn't do it consistently. Then when I started getting a little more consistent, and this is when I was using different indicators and stuff, I was 300. Okay, I want to make 300 every day. That would be, you know, that would be a great week every week for me. And then so I was able to do that, but it honestly wasn't consistent. And again, once I discovered this strategy, it has actually been quite easy. So if I wanted to do 300, I literally can almost do that. And honestly, before 9:45, almost every day. But again,
awesome.
You know, I may be taking 10 contracts, and then I get a move and I sell 8, you know, and then I lock in my profit and I move on. So there's so many variations of how each individual can trade and manage their account and manage their trading. It's just, it really has to be based on what you want to do as a trader and how you want to manage it as a trader. But I think the one thing I can tell everyone here, the most important thing in trading is management, is your risk management. That's it. to a,
Mm,
if you're not managing your trading, you're going to be a loser. You're not going to be
right.
successful. You're not. It's not going to happen. You're going to FOMO in, you're going to FOMO out, you're going to continue to lose. You'll make some wins, but then you'll have that hope and hope that this is going to work out, and then you take bigger losses, and then next thing you know, you're just going backwards. Um, but if you manage your risks and you manage it in that you have a good risk to reward when you get in. And so like when we're trading during the day, just like today, I called out on several stocks that had come up. I was like, hey, great risk to reward right here. If it goes, you're good. If it goes against you, it's a small loss. But if it goes, it's going to be fantastic. And a couple of them did, and it was great. Yesterday, a day before, well, yesterday was even easier because prior to the market dumping, we had some really good trades that were just absolutely easy because we were at key levels. It wasn't difficult. You knew where to get out. So most importantly, like if you need to know your stops. You need to have a rule for your stop outs or where you're going to exit a trade. Um, that
Which
way,
is something that like you're not pre-stopping, right? So you're making a move at the moment of I'm out, I'm closing this option.
oh, 100%. Yeah, I
Okay,
don't do
okay,
manual stops. Although I
okay.
have, I have tried to get, so like if I'm up really high on like an SPX trade, and I don't want to just sit there and micromanage it, and it's
Right,
just
right.
going. I've tried some trailing stops, but they don't work, and
Okay.
they don't work with SPX especially because I can literally put a trailing stop $300 to $400 below where the bid price
Wow.
is, and it will take it instantly, almost every time I do it. And
Wow.
so I lose not only the amount that I was up plus that 300 below because they just come down and grab it. So you have to also know that they can see our stops. And these people, if they can come down and grab your stop, that's just more money for them.
Right, right.
So it's kind of when you put in manual stops, you have to be really careful. Sometimes you can put them in and the price will just go, we're all small fish, right? But the big fish, if they can catch enough small fish, that's huge for them. So they'll come
Yeah,
down and
that's
snag
great.
them.
I'm so glad you answered that because throughout all this time, the last month or so, that has been one of my biggest, I don't want to say frustrations, but um wondering like when you say that you get out, like I've been somewhat intimidated by what that means, and am I supposed to get in with a stop limit or what have you? And you know, now you just answered that. You made me feel comfortable with what the definition of that is.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I mean, it really, it's really just, it's kind of tough. It sucks that that happens, honestly. I'll be frank, because it would be great for us to be able to put a hidden stop that nobody would see,
Yeah. Right.
and then, but that's just not that's not the way it works. And
No, right,
and
right.
so you have to be cognizant of if you put in a manual stop, you're possibly going to get taken at much less than what you really want to. So it's best to just manage it and do it manually. If
Yeah,
you
I
if you
agree.
if you get to a level, of course there are issues with that. Like there are some people, we have to work, right? And sometimes we'll get in trades and they're like, man, I can't sit and watch this, but I don't want to get out now because I'm expecting it to go, maybe twice as good as it has went or twice as far as it has went. So I'm going to put in a trailing stop. Well, sometimes, you just have to take that risk and see if that'll work. But I can tell you, I would say that, some stocks you're not going to get taken right away, but on SPX, it will grab you. It doesn't.
Okay. Well,
It
that's a good
it
experience.
does
You're talking
not.
from experience.
Oh my gosh, so many times. And once again, I keep picking on Nomac, but he's probably heard it and seen it many, many times. Where he's been a member of the group for a while, and oh my gosh, I'll be up pretty good, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna, man, I'll sit there and I'll even question it. I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe I shouldn't put, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and put in a limit stop down here. I'm a good ways down. Boom. As soon as I put it in, gone. It takes it immediately. I'm like, are
Right,
you
right.
kidding me? Price was like nowhere even near it. And it still came down and got it. So,
Hey,
And
Meadow.
yeah.
I think another point that is relevant is from the question earlier regarding like the Ross Cameron thing and what have you, because you and Ross Cameron are the only two people I watch, right? So at the end of the day, you know, options are leverage, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like the difference between buying a stock, you know, you're in for that X amount of dollars, right? And you're not able to necessarily leverage yourself, right? So I mean, you could control 100 shares at a much, you know, much less price level than purchasing the stock. And since you're so in and out in a way, I don't want to say scalping, but
Oh, it's
you
kind of
know,
scalping. It is.
it is
It
kind of
is. It is.
scalping, right?
I
Right.
try to hold a lot longer, and here lately I've been holding much, much longer, and it's been working out for me. But there's days when you have to just scalp, or for me, I do. You get caught up in chop, and there's no point in even wasting your time. But if I'm already making my profit, I'm just gonna move on.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I said earlier about it's about how you know how much percentage per dollar, right? I mean, you can't argue 10% of a dollar is a dime. I mean, there's no argument with that. But at the end of the day, what are you looking to obtain in what period of time? Which option trading allows you to leverage. And if you found a system, which you have, which is awesome, um, you're able to leverage that dime multiple times compared to
Right.
what your account allows you to purchase. Now, Ross Cameron can buy 40,000 shares or something and make 30 cents.
Yeah.
Not all of us can do that.
Right. Hey, Crimson, what were you wanting to say something? I think you had lit up.
Oh, hey guys.
Hey, man.
Hey.
So, I was looking at SPY today. So I got into a SPY trade, and I thought it was the right path, and you already know where this is going, the right move. So it's around, and maybe you covered it earlier. I was kind of jumping in and out, but it was right around. Let's see.
Let me move to my LRC chart.
Yeah, it was at 587. It was like two big candles down, and I think it bounced off
What
maybe
time?
it went down on the
Do
20.
you know what time?
Central time for me.
What time was that?
Noon.
Noon.
Sorry,
Okay.
I said Central time.
Yeah, no worries. So noon would be, that's going to be
1 your
one for
time,
me,
Meadow.
right? Yep, 1 o'clock, right in. Are you talking about right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
Yep.
That's where I had a little box there, and I was like, and it ticked down, and as you can see, it went right up. And I was hoping to get the move on the other side of it, but I'm wondering, did I see everything correctly,
Oh
or
yeah,
did I just jump into it prematurely?
no, you saw everything correctly. The matter of fact, everything there looks great. The problem is just today's market. So we're going to battle that sometimes, and there's no way, there's nothing anybody can do to win that battle. Other than
Yeah.
just having your stops and just take your loss and take your loss and understand that it wasn't anything that you did wrong. It was basically the market screwing you because you had a lot of things that worked right there, right? Obviously, this one was the one I wish you had got in, but this one made a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense for several reasons. You're in a downtrend. You're below your 200. Your 20 EMA's shooting down. You had a retest of the red, right? It broke back down. Huge opportunity right there. Enter here.
Right.
That's where I would enter as well. You move down. This is your issue right here. I mean, and again, several things are aligning. You even broke structure, which is one of the things I pay
Right.
attention
Okay.
to.
Yeah.
I talk about this
Yep.
all the time. Man, if you break structure, I'm in. So sometimes if I get in a day that's like this, I'll wait until my price breaks this structure before, even though I'm getting this here, I wait for it to break for my confirmation. Well, that would have given me
Ah,
confirmation there
yeah.
too. And I still would have lost just like, yeah, I would have had the same issue you had. So I think you did everything great except for trading today. and,
Yeah.
But how about
Okay.
also,
and,
how about also is that where
and I did
it, it,
this.
it turned on him?
Oh,
Like, so
I'm
like when
sorry.
he like
I'm sorry.
like
Say,
how long did you hold compared to, and I'm asking, not that
oh,
I would have did, in comparison to seeing the green and then the green and then getting out.
how long would I have held?
No, like I'm asking the gentleman who just asked the question.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw that second green bar, because that first
Okay.
one down or
Okay.
first one, the next green bar, it was going up. It was a small one, and it was half the candle size is how I
Okay.
equate it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the next one it opened up, it started to go down, but then it started to go up. I was like, oh, this is a reversal.
Okay.
So,
And I'm only asking because I'm wondering, not because I think I know.
No, right. No, I got you. And so Crimson, yeah, no, you didn't do anything at all wrong, honestly. I mean, think of it this way, like what made this any different than this? This was a great
right.
move. You just happened to time it. Maybe let's go back at 1 o'clock. And
Metal.
yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish your thought. But
Oh no, go right ahead.
afterwards, can you? Well, if you go back to that.
Oh, I will.
chart you're
I
on,
will.
Zoom out one notch.
Yep, I will. Let me look at this real quick. So this is what I would key in on, Crimson. I'm trying to see if there would have been something that would have, because sometimes I don't get into trades that look like they're actual setups, but it's because of what's happening in the rest. And I'm finding out right now why I wouldn't have got in your trade.
Okay, cool.
Right here. There's your 1 o'clock cues. Has to break 515 before I would have got in a trade.
What is that? What is that you're showing on QQQ?
QQQ.
That yellow.
Oh, I just draw in a box.
That's your
that's a
box.
manually drawn rectangle.
Right.
That's all that is. And this whole area is I must be under 515 before I trade it, or I'm looking for a retest and I trade going away from it. And so that also aligned with Apple pushing down to the 249.60. I would never trade right into a level. That's where that answers the question earlier. I think Putseller had asked what takes priority. My support and resistance will take priority, even though something's setting up. If I'm about to take a trade that's about to go right into a major level, I'm not going to do it. It's not worth it to me.
Are we talking about the same issue here? The same stock? I'm sorry, with the yellow compared to what he's asking about?
Oh, no. Yeah, this was SPY, but let me move to that time frame.
I mean, SPY and Q, they all correlate.
They all correlate. So I make sure when I'm trading, and it may also, and also Crimson, when I'm watching my monitors, my grids, they also give me insight too. So for instance, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Apple, well, I have Apple here, but some of those others may have also been hitting key levels and starting to reject. So I would have to say that I would not have got in this trade because of this right here. And when we trade in the group, I think, Nomac can speak for me. I am very adamant about that. I make sure that everyone knows I am not taking this until it clears this level. And in some cases, I want to see a break and a retest. Sometimes I don't have to, and the reason for that is, say for instance, NASDAQ is at, I should have a level right here, actually, 59.50. I don't know what happened to it. So 59.50 on ES is also a level that I want to have a break in either a retest or a break and then a red below, right? So sometimes I'll call out like, hey, major level, I want to see a break and then a legit retest, like a move away from it, back to it, and then a move down. The reason for that is the algos, the market makers, they will come in and they will bust a level knowing that we all know it's a level and trap everybody taking puts and then buy it all back up. So you want to
Yeah.
break and retest of a major level. The caveat to that, or maybe I'm using that incorrectly, the exception to that is, say we've broken ES and it's already below 59.50 and it's already pulling back up, but then Q's breaks this level, but ES is rejecting and NASDAQ is starting to push down and Apple's also pushing down. I won't wait for a retest here. I will then enter because I've got my retest on maybe 2 or 3 of the others. Does that make sense?
See, that's a big point here because that's
Yeah.
what I was asking earlier. Because so as someone like, okay, if we're following you, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong. I plan on joining tomorrow, but the thing is that his individual trade made sense, but another entity
Correct.
dictated that it didn't make
Yeah,
sense.
and that's what I said when, and some of you guys may not have been here. Like, this strategy is amazing. It's amazing to me, and it's not that I'm not touting the strategy itself. It just works for me, and it works, right? However, it's not just the strategy, guys. You need to learn price action. You need to understand to be able to draw your own support and resistance levels. You need to understand and know and watch the rest of the market when you're trading in order to be
That's a huge
successful.
thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's not just one thing, it's multifaceted. And honestly, if people are too lazy to go through and do all that, you really shouldn't be trading. If
Right.
you don't want to
Right.
pay attention and focus, and you're just not going to be successful over time. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but I really think that it's just super important that you become your own self, your own trader, that you understand everything that you're doing. You're focusing on multiple things at one time, not just this one thing, because that's why I wanted to go to that chart to see if, but yes, okay, let's say without everything else that I knew, right? Yes, that would
Hmm.
have been a great entry, but also
Oh,
knowing that we were trading into a major level, I wouldn't have done it.
okay. Yeah, that's big actually.
Metal, can
Where
you
would you?
scroll back to the beginning of the day? Like, yeah, just a little bit further. Okay. One thing I noticed is, and this is just something I noticed a moment ago.
Sure.
Look at the distance between the 20 and the 200 relative to the day
Hmm.
and where it turned around.
Hmm. And right here.
Yeah, see how close that is, and then went down.
Yep.
But now look at the beginning of the day. Look how far at the beginning where, yeah, see how far the 20 is from the 200,
Yep.
and it reversed over there.
Yep.
And then look at the distance where it reversed at the other spot where the 20 and the 200 were around 1 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
Look at
Yes.
that. See
Yeah.
how far they are?
It's a bigger
It's
gap.
relative. I mean, some days the distance can be huge and it'll still go, but
Right. Right.
relative today, it
Yeah.
was a bigger
And,
gap.
and, and that analysis is great. The only
Yeah.
the only downside to that, and this isn't to knock what you're seeing, the only downside is when we're in trades, to analyze and to know that that's what's happening during the day is almost impossible as a trader to be able to pick up on that specific thing. I know you're not saying that's I know you're just observing and going, look,
Yeah,
that's
hindsight.
hindsighting it, right? But I just wanted to be clear, let everyone else know, like, honestly, there are things that we can see, just like today when we had this price action and I stopped. I think everyone knows I stopped. I'm like, I'm done. I'm holding these. I'm not trading anymore. I'm done because I could see the writing on the wall. I don't always see it early. And it's really hard when you're literally inside the forest, right? And you're right here on a micro level trading. You can't, it's hard to like pay attention to everything. But once again, that's where I think if you guys don't have other monitors, if you can eventually get them, I think it's imperative to be able to focus on and see what everything else is doing, all the majors. And if you see all this consolidation and choppiness, stop trading. Go do something. Go help a neighbor. Go go help a family member. Like
Walk
legit.
your dog.
Legit, do something good. Do something good for yourself. Do something good for someone else. Don't waste your money. It's not worth it. You're going to lose
Now,
your
let
money.
me ask you a quick question here, and I'm
Sure.
sorry, but I'm interested in this thought process because I've been going through a lot of this lately.
Okay.
What would possibly, and I don't know this because I have no idea, what would possibly the MACD have said at that moment? Like, I know I'm not asking you to figure it out quick now, but like, I wonder what the MACD would have said during that time if it would have given any level of expectations when that occurred.
Depends on how you trade the MACD, right?
I would assume it's, yeah,
So if you're looking at it, like this is where he was talking about trading.
Yeah.
Some people will not trade unless they get the move over the center line. And maybe, the move across of these are nothing more than MAs, guys. So you can just put these on your chart and it'll do the same thing. But if you're just using the histogram, a lot of people will trade when you get your change from here to here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I don't use.
That's why I don't use
MACD. No, I totally get it.
Saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I totally get it. I mean, and I also have a nice. And I've done that. I've done the same thing. I go back and observe things and go, okay, what could have helped? But I don't. Oops, I added it twice. So in RSI, you're basically in the middle of your channel. And I can show I can show you guys a really cool, neat trick if you've never done this before. So this RSI gives us divergence. It tells you when you have divergence. And it's actually pretty.
Although that one didn't.
It's actually
that one didn't work, did it?
Yep. From this point, your divergence is going down. So I don't know if you guys know this, but this is kind of a cool thing. This is way off the beaten track, but if you say if you have, and you can see I already have this labeled. So I have 70 and the 30, right? That's my oversold. And when you start seeing a pivots, you can actually come into your RSI and put where the pivots are happening. Of course,
that's cool.
But here's where it gets even cooler. So check this out. No matter how far price is going way up or down, your pivot levels tend to stay consistent on the RSI.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cool, huh?
Wow, that's cool. That's really neat.
And you can go and like do this on even like big moves, or maybe not the dump, but any little pullback. Let's say the dump, once it got to here, this all changed. So your pullbacks were here, right? So every little pullback to this is letting you know it's just a pullback, breaks back below. Pullback, breaks back below. And you can actually put horizontal pullback lines. And what's really neat, if you go and you study it, you'll see that every time price went down, pushed back up, guess what?
Oh, wow.
Yep. Pretty wild.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And it stays consistent. That's the crazy thing. So price can go way, way, way up, but you'll come back down and your pullback, I mean, this one didn't do it there, but your pullback, even though you've moved way up here, still comes back to this same pivot level on your RSI. Anyway, I just always thought that was a pretty cool thing.
No, that's awesome, actually. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Question about in that trade in SPY, would you have gotten out on the third green bar, or when would you have
Which
realized?
one? This one here?
Yeah, that one.
Well, I wouldn't have got in it, but I think Crimson got out on this
If
one.
you were in.
If I was?
Yeah, if you were in. So you placed the trade.
Say that we had no like levels that were going to keep me from getting in. Yeah, I would have got out right here. I usually wait for the second green. So if I'm getting puts, I'll wait for 2 green closes above my 20 for a confirmation that it's gonna, continue up. Does that always happen? No. But I've just found over back testing, and you guys can do your, do your own back testing and come up maybe with your own ideas and plans with it. But for me, what I've found is, I have two ways of getting out of trades. One is if I feel like I'm not in a real good trending market, and or if and that also goes the opposite way. If I'm in a very good trending market and I'm riding the 20 EMA, sometimes what I will do, instead of giving back too much profit, I'll have to find a different day. Let me go find a day that, okay, this is a good example here, maybe. This will be a great example. So let's say I entered right here. I would exit on this second one. Why? Because I'm so far extended from the 20. I don't want to basically lose this much money to pull all the way back up. So I'll exit my trade, and then I'll wait and see if I get back to the 20 EMA. And then once I got this, I would enter here, and then I only exit if I get 2 greens. So I would have entered here. Interestingly enough, I may have waited because that's my long LRC. So all of these levels matter, and legitimately, I mean, when I'm trading, this is what I would be seeing. So
You would have drawn a box too.
I would have drawn a box. You're right. And I would have told everybody to get in, well, actually below the 604. So I never would have traded this one at all until we got in right here. But we would have got in here and taken this all the way down. But anyway, my point was I would trade. There's 2 ways that I can trade. You can be less conservative and always ride the 20 EMA, and I've found that sometimes that's just gets you the most out of your trade. However, you can also give back more than you really wanted to, Robin. So for instance, if you're going down, and let's just hypothetically say, okay, we're a good distance from the 20 EMA at this point. That's a pretty good range. That's a lot of loss right here, pulling back up. So you could either ride this, wait, see for the rejection. In this case, you didn't have a chance, right, to get out on the second green because you didn't get a second green. So in this case, I would have just held and waited to see what happened because this went out. Or if I see it going up too high, sometimes I'll just hop, and then I'll wait and see if I retest the 20. And if I retest the 20, I just hop back in, take some profit, wait, see if I get the same issue, wait, just stay with it. 2 greens, hop out. And this is a great example. So this is why I started hopping out and locking in profit, is this exact situation. Say we're coming all the way down, I get my 2 greens, and I'm just going to say this is a little more extended, right? You get 2 greens, I'll hop out, I take my profit. I go up, I'm waiting for a pullback move down, I don't get it. I get another green. So now I'm at a point where I've locked in profit, I didn't give back much, and it broke back over the 20 and went back up. So there's certain ways of doing it. So my conservative way is I hop out on 2 reds. So say I'm in this one, 2 reds, consecutive reds, I exit the trade. I wait for a pullback. I wait and see. Right here would have been my possible entry right here. You enter back in. You exit on 2 reds. Rinse and repeat all day. As long as if you're trending, you can make money all day long, as long as you have enough buying power, to keep buying in. And yes, what Nomax said, I would have told everyone to draw a box right here and get in once it crossed. Whether it went up or down, doesn't matter. And
is that on a 2-minute chart?
Yeah, yep. 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yep.
And the problem with today's market was there just wasn't enough trending.
Yeah, today you have to expect, and this is just for everyone, right? When you have a move like this the day before, that huge of a percentage drop, you can expect this. Can you make money? Sure. I made money on this first trade on SPX and got out. Good reason, a good example of long LRC. I went over this earlier, but that's why I exited right there.
Yeah.
That's my long LRC, and look what it did on it. Selling pressure came right down, so I just got out. I didn't follow my scalp rule on my PLTR trade. So I ended up with a small loss on that. So I got in here on a breakout move. And then when you're in when we're trading and I say, hey, I'm taking a breakout, just know that whenever I'm taking a breakout and a breakout is going over my levels, if that same candle comes back below, I exit. I do not hold. I do not wait to see this thing go whoop straight back down. And typically my breakout moves are like going to be first or second candle of the day for the most part. Now, when we do consolidation breakout moves, those are way more consistent, way higher probability. It's the first couple candles of the day where you have all that volatility, is where I'm probably 50-50 on wins losses trading breakouts. But yeah, I did scale out, but I should have taken everything off on this. It basically showed me, the green showed me what to do, but I didn't pay attention. And I held it to here, held it, and I think I exited there. So, that one I didn't follow the rules of the day, which is, it's probably going to be choppy, so gonna scalp and just take profits and move on. So yeah, that's just part of trading, unfortunately.
One thing I just thought of, thanks to Crimson pointing out Central Time. Do you mind pulling up the Anchored LRC, the settings? So if everyone doesn't know, you can change the start time and end time.
Oh, yes.
And those are set to Eastern time. They're meant for 4 a.m. Eastern time to 9 a.m. Eastern time. So if your charts are set to some other time,
thank you,
you might want to adjust those numbers so they correspond to 4 a.m. Eastern, 9:29 Eastern also.
And I think someone was telling me, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, because I honestly don't know, that when you download my workspace, you get my time.
I said that a while ago.
Yeah, I dealt with
That's
that
what happened
too.
to me.
Okay.
I don't know if it happened to anyone else, but that happened to me.
Okay.
Yep.
So I don't know if that works for you or messes you up, but if you are Central or Western or whatever your time frame
Eastern here.
Yeah, whatever your time frame is, what you want to do is pre-market start, which is 4 a.m. Eastern. If that's Central Time, would be 3 a.m. Eastern, and then your market start time would be 8:29, would be what you would do your end time. So just make sure that you're 1 minute before market open on your end time, and pre-market start on your start time. Thank you, Nomac, because that could be very confusing for some people if their lines are not lining up at all.
Yeah, and you brought up a great point too, Metal. If you use Metal's grid, you may have downloaded or you may have changed your time to Eastern time because that's what Metals are set at. So double check that too.
I didn't even know that was a thing until you told me that.
Yeah,
I didn't.
I thought it was because I was brand new back then.
Yeah.
And then since then I've actually changed my whole TOS to Eastern time because it just corresponds a little easier.
Anything else, guys?
Yeah, what's the market going to do tomorrow?
Well, I bought SPX calls, so I thought it was going to go up, but I am wrong.
I hope so. I'm still.
Yeah, I would have thought the same thing.
I am dead wrong.
Qs.
Look where we're at, guys. This is a big level, right? When I do a bright line like this now, I'm going to this chartreuse or whatever this color is. That lets us all know that is something to be concerned with. And look what happened when it went through it. So if we don't regain that tomorrow, that's our retest and puts to the downside.
Okay.
Yep. So that's what I'll be looking for tomorrow is possibly more puts if we regain this area and the whole area. It's only 1 point. It's 584 to 585. But if you go back and look longer term back, you'll notice there's just a lot of consolidation, and the pivots would come sometimes down and up, and then from here down and in the middle. So that's why I clouded the entire area. So
Well,
Yeah,
I
just
have one more question. I'm going to let you go because I know it's been a long day, I'm sure, for you. So, what you were talking about before with the moves as far as, breaking certain levels, and I've questioned this, and I don't mean it in a negative way. I questioned this just because of my curiosity is, when you need to make these moves somewhat instantaneously, either getting out of what is going the wrong way or what have you, watching like so many multiple positions at the same time, does that somewhat equate to where you say, well, I missed this or I should have got out earlier? Is because the your mind is only able to handle X amount, right? So you're watching 24 things and you're watching to see the overall level of the market, and Google's doing this versus Apple's doing that and the SPY's doing this, but you're looking at the triple Q, whatever it may be. Like, it's just human to not be able to, maximize every single thing within a certain period of time frame. So, like, I think you have to accept, right, what you have, that you're not going to nail everything that's out there, which none of us should be thinking that way, obviously.
Oh, no.
But would you say that in the big picture is that having so many multiple things, you just have to go in knowing you can look back and say, I should have or I didn't, but the reality is that you couldn't.
Yes, somewhat to a degree. I would say I'm pretty laser focused. I don't typically, I try to be. We actually get caught up in some banter some when we're trading, but I I try to I try not to be in too many positions at once so that I can manage the ones that I'm in properly. So
Okay.
I may get in two, maybe three. Um, that's usually my max, but
Okay.
usually, like,
Okay.
for me, I'll be honest, when I see a really good setup and I tell everyone, hey, I'm getting in, now because I've built my account up quite a bit, I just get in heavy and I meet my quota in like no time. So
Okay.
I know that not everyone can do that. So it's for me, and yeah, I mean what you're saying does, Matt, does. I have been, sidetracked and like maybe missed something. Oh crud! I was supposed to get out when I hit that level.
And I don't mean this towards you at
Oh,
all.
no,
I
no,
mean,
no.
like, I think what you're doing is wonderful. I'm saying just
Oh, but it, but it,
us coming in.
but it's true, and we're all human, and it's real trading, and that does happen, and it's happened to me many, many, many times. Like I know that I've been in the middle of like I'll be paying attention or focusing on something, and I will tell even the group like, hey, I'm gonna get out if I hit my red LRC, and then I get into a conversation. I'm like, crap, I missed it. It already hit my red
Yeah.
LRC, and so
Yeah.
yeah, that happens sometimes. It's not that horrible, but yes, it does happen. I mean, there's no
Of
doubt.
course. I
There's
mean,
no
you're
doubt.
human.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're human. You're one person. I mean, and that's not. I think what you're doing and how you're doing it is totally awesome. Otherwise, I wouldn't have spent these last hour and a half like talking to you. I'm totally into it. I'm just more trying to more reassure myself of, because I could be one who says, oh, I didn't hit that or I didn't nail that, or look back and go, like you said earlier about, not getting in when someone else got in. But in this world, sometimes the hardest thing is feeling confident that you're not failing in regards to because you didn't nail everything.
Oh, sure. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Like, there's several times a day, and um, there's several times like when I'm trading during the week where the stock that I pick happens to be the one that just doesn't go. A couple of days ago, I got into the AMD. 2 days ago, I got into the AMD put. Looked great, beautiful setup. It was going down, but it was going down sideways. So I was literally making nothing. It was just constantly sideways. Although two or three of the other stocks that I could have got in all went and they were just awesome. Just great price
Right.
action, great moves. that happens occasionally. And
Of course.
yeah, yes.
Right.
And it was right here. Like I got in, I think it was this one. Maybe it was the day prior. Yeah. I can't remember which one it was. But anyway, that
Yeah,
did
that's all
that
good.
did happen to me with AMD. Now, this is not going to counter my SPX calls, but I am still in AMD puts that I swung over.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And if anyone is, well, it'll probably, I don't know if it'll get there, but this is my level. That's my target, 116.
Oh, okay. Because I have a buddy of mine who I'm going to call right after this. That he is AMD deep,
Oh,
and he's stressing on it.
Yeah, it's been really bad. It's been super weak for a long time, for a very long time actually. You go back here, highs got down, went down, 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 and if you go back, this is why I'm at 116. Look, there's nothing else to go to.
Right.
This is the 116. After that, next level.
Right. You're
110,
right.
111. After that, you might hit in these little areas, but in reality, probably down here at the 93 level. That would not.
Now, how long ago was that, Metal? Just for I
this is-
can't see on my phone.
This is 1027. This is October of 2023.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Before all this AI stuff in a way.
Yeah. Yep. And then you peaked here, and from there it's just been straight downside.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me just say this, because I'm going to let you go, or I'm going to leave. This has been so awesome. Like,
cool.
you know, I know I've sent you a few, you know, PMs and what have you, and it's not because I'm just wanting to kick the tires. You know, I'm looking to, for myself, go from I'm in my own business. It's been fairly successful, but I'm tired of, you know, the scenario of somewhat waiting for the phone to ring. That's where I'm in. And I want to control myself a little bit. And I'm almost 60 years old. And I want to start not having to go out and work as hard as I do. So I am so like, I am so into your theory to the max. And I only ask these questions to make myself feel more comfortable about that I'm understanding what you're saying.
Well, that is awesome, and I appreciate
You know what I mean?
I
Like,
appreciate
yeah,
it, but
totally about not questioning you. It's more about reconfirming myself
I
that
get
I
it.
understand what you're telling me.
No, I totally get it. I don't think of it the other way at all. But you know, honestly, it's really, I would just say all this does is give us levels. I think it's something special, but it really is not. It's possibly because I kind of I accidentally discovered it, and in the way it works is kind of cool for me. But in reality, risk management is key. Price action
Right.
is
Right.
number one when you're trading. And levels, you can use the LRC, you can use, you know, support and resistance, you can use fibs. I mean, here fibs have been crazy lately.
I was going to ask you about that, but I
no.
didn't want to continue that.
Use them all the time. Right there is a great example. I don't have to draw them all the time now because I can recognize that it's at the level that it should start retesting, but there you go.
All right, listen, I'm going to let you go
your
because I have to tell you, I really appreciate everything you do.
thank you.
Really do, because the commitment level of putting videos out and spending 20, 30, 40 minutes. Listen, I know that's not an easy thing. So in the big picture, I really do appreciate, and other people should, that you're, you know, regardless of what the back end is, it doesn't matter. You're paying it forward in a way.
Well, that's what I'm hoping happens. And honestly, I just hope that everybody can. I hope I can help everybody. You know, I know that everyone trades differently and has their own different accounts and such. But I just hope that I can help everyone to maybe be better. And I honestly, and with that, I would have to say, I'm not a guru. I'm not some pro guy that thinks he knows everything. I am not that at all. I just found something that I think that I know works now. It's been tested over and over and over, and I'm hoping that, yeah, like you said, I hope I can pay it forward. I hope that people can find this and use it and be successful themselves. So I really
Yeah, and I
appreciate.
think also like your demeanor and the way that who you are is very evident. Like no one's thinking you're that. Like you're a regular guy who found this thing. It's working. It shows itself by statistics and by dollar amounts. And like I feel like I don't know where you are, but I would come over and build a shed with you.
Awesome.
All right.
That's exactly how I hope I come across, because that's the type of person I actually kind of am. So
I know.
that's awesome.
I can tell. I'm a good read of character. So I'm going to join the next level with you in the next day, probably tomorrow. And
Awesome.
the only thing I ask of you is there anything that I should be, prerequisite to having in order, or am I just going to flow in and talk to the group and just go with it? Like, money wise or chart wise, or we're like all on the same level and I'm going to listen and learn.
You're going to flow right in, talk to everyone, listen, learn, collaborate, offer your own input. It's a wide open discussion for the live trading. So as long as it doesn't get so bad, and I don't have to, like, hey, hold up, that I gotta call out some stuff. We talk openly, and I think that's what's really great about it. And everybody, right now, it's just awesome. I love it. I love trading with the guys and girls every single day. It's so cool. But and the best part is, for me, when I have a friend that I've known for a while. He's a part of the group as well, and he has a small account. And I get chills daily when he calls out that he got into a trade that was like a perfect setup, because that to me is awesome. He's learning it little bit at a time, and it's working, and he's growing his account. So I think that's what it's all about, and we all try to help each other.
Yeah, he's contributing, which makes you feel good.
Yes, and he's actually being successful. That's what he's made some mistakes and he's had some losses, but he's learning from it, and that's the key.
That's awesome, man. I really, really enjoyed this last few hours. I have to tell you, for me to commit to this long in my life is a dedication to what you're selling.
Well, awesome. And honestly, I don't want to. I know this is going to come off harsh. I don't mean it. I don't want to come off as if I'm selling anything, guys.
No, I didn't.
I know you. I know you didn't, but I don't want it to ever come off that way. Honestly, if you guys come in and you come in and you're a member, I would love to have everybody in there. And I think it's awesome. But at the end of the day, it's really about, if you learn how to use it and you're like, hey, this has been great, thank you, I understand it now, move on. That's what it's about. Learn it, move on, be successful. That's it.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate it. I look forward to it. I'll be talking to you soon.
Awesome.
Hey, put seller,
Yeah.
and everyone else, before you go, just a warning: Metal has a lot of copycats. Metal will not DM you.
Yes.
I know.
Try to
I
sell you
already dealt
something.
with this actually.
Oh boy. Okay.
In the last
Just a
month, I
warning.
actually told Metal about it. The guy asked me, like, he friended me, the whole 9 yards.
Yep. And just to add on to what Nomac was saying, is and I know this sounds bad too, but I will never accept your friend request, guys, and I will never send you a friend request. It's not
Well, at least
that
you created
it's not
parameters that
it's
we all
not
know.
yeah, it's not that I don't want to be personable in that regard, because I think we all should be more personable. And when I said help a neighbor earlier, I meant it. Go out, help someone, help a stranger, help somebody. That's what's going to fulfill your life more than anything. But in any event, I will not accept them and I will not send them. And I've made that a rule because that way everybody will know it's not me. And so don't fall for it. I've had guys in here that literally gave phone numbers, addresses, I'm like, are you kidding me? And these scammers are incredibly talented and they know what they're doing.
They use your symbol even.
And I've had people send me DMs where they had ongoing conversations for a long time. And I'm not going to name a name, but we have a guy that trades with us every day, super awesome dude, and he fell for it and literally had a long going conversation thinking it was me.
Yeah, I somewhat, to be honest with you, not to sound rude, I really don't want to sound that way, but I've dealt with that in multiple facets of life, like with Amazon, all this shit nowadays, right?
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it's unbelievable. I shouldn't say that. That's going to sound rude, but it somewhat makes me question at what level do you question and then analyze the thing that's being presented to you. Like, you know what? I mean, you know what? I'm going to be quiet because I don't want to come off in a bad way. But I've dealt with so many scenarios of that where it's like you almost say to yourself, like, okay, the guy's good, the guy's sent, the guy has the same metal thing, so on and so forth. But like you are so out there, your voice, your look, your whole thing. It's like, you know, it's like my first thought was after I asked you was, I know that's not your demeanor. Like you come off as not a guy who's asking you for something up front prior.
No, I would never sell anybody anything. So the only thing that anybody pays for is the membership version, and that's for the live trading and for the levels and really just having a good community to trade with. That's my goal. Really. But outside of that, I'm not ever going to ask for anything. I don't want your crypto. I'm not going to sell you crypto. I'm not going to ask you to deposit money into an account anywhere. Never, nothing, none of that. So don't fall for it, guys. And honestly, nobody else is going to do it either. So it's amazing to me that some people fall for some of that crazy stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And like, you know, just like I have to say that I could just tell, you know, I feel like I'm a very good judge of character. Like you could just tell talking to you and just watching your videos that you're a real guy who's like a real guy who is like happy he found something, is sharing it. And if he monetarily makes off something off of it, you should. Like to me, like you should make that. Like I do my business, I sell my services. You do your thing, God bless that you're selling it in some context.
Right.
And you should never feel bad about that in the least bit because you're not bullshitting people. You're like, here's the deal. And if you don't want to be here, then you don't have to be here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, but anyway, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to join you guys soon. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you, Novak. Thank you, everybody. I've had a blast just being here and able to feel I can ask the questions of the man who is telling me, and I've been watching, 30, 40 hours of your stuff over the last month.
Well, I can only say I'm sorry for that because I'm not really good at what I do.
I like the fact that you can't.
I'm honestly, I know that my videos are horrible, and I usually do them because I'm usually doing family stuff. I come in after cooking dinner or whatever, and
I love it.
So I put together a video, and I'm not even coordinated. I'm not even prepared.
Totally love it. I love the rawness of it.
Oh well,
I truly do.
I don't know.
Metal. Your videos aren't bad. It's only when you forget to turn the sound on.
Well, that too, like too many times.
Which almost makes them so much more of a real, like, I would do that.
I don't know, man. I did like 30 minutes the other day and went, dang it, I got to start this over.
That's awesome, but at the end of the day, dude, think about the whole kit and caboodle. You're making money. You have a system. It's working. You're introducing people to it. You're a regular guy sitting in your office, your basement, whatever. You're kissing your friggin' kids. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, honestly, if you're making this shit up, I will come and find you.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
All right, I'm
All
gonna
right, man.
talk to you guys soon, man. Thanks so
All
much. I
righty.
appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Take care, Post
Good
Holly.
night. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Anyone else have any anything
I
to
have a
add?
quick question, Metal.
Okay, Didi.
So what is the best time to draw the long LRC? Do you do it after market close or before market open?
Oh, I draw them well in advance. So my long LRCs are used over quite a period of time. The only time I really adjust them is if we have some kind of crazy moves, or if I feel like I need to, and I'm gonna go show you real quick. So like for instance, if we've had a trend change or something like that where I feel like, okay, I need to adjust to get, excuse me, so the levels are actually working still. And let me see if I can find a good example for you. Let's see if SMCI would be one of those. So basically, I go and draw them, on the 4 or 1 hour. I don't know if you got to see that part. If you didn't, it's further back. I am recording this on YouTube, so you'll be able to go back and watch all of it over. And I went through how to use it, how to set it up, and all of that. But to answer your question, like for instance, this SMCI has been set here for quite some time, and as like let's just for purposes of explanation, let's just say I had it right here, and this is where it started. Okay. Well, as soon as this kind of got out of my level right here, then I would then reset it. I would go back and go, okay, I'm going to move this, and I'm going to make sure I capture all of my pivots. And so I will just move those until I get it to where I felt like, okay, it's captured them. And let's just say like, I'm trying to show you on my chart. You can't see my hand. Let's just say that from my cursor over hasn't happened yet. Okay.
Right.
So basically all we have to go on is these levels right here. And then once all of this started, and actually this kind of continues to work, but like even where this went below and broke below the lower level, I would then come back in and then just drag down to that level, reset it, just to basically all I'm wanting to do is get it to where the pivots, the tops, the highs and the lows, and really looking for the big moves to I don't concern myself as much with the consolidations. However, they are pretty important. If you really focus on it, you'll notice that that's going to tell you something. If you come back and you're looking at a 4-hour chart and you're doing this, you're either going to have a move down, which it's probably about to happen on SMCI right here, as we're talking about it. I mean, you can almost see that level, right?
Yes.
Right there. It's already kind of below it. So I would look for this level to come back and have puts tomorrow. Okay. And you can see we came down, we've pivoted, we went sideways. And I don't know if you missed what I was talking about earlier. When you know you're in a downtrend or an uptrend, whatever way you're trending, kind of focus on it. It's not perfect, but focus on when you see price consolidating sideways. Now intraday and 2-minute chart, 5-minute chart, whichever one you trade, 15-minute chart, this is going to look like this price is actually moving up, right? It doesn't, but it's not, it's in the large scale, it's actually just sideways, right?
Consolidating, yeah.
So what you look for is a move. You can do this, right? And then when you hit a level and you break through your trend, that's when you can swing trade the heck out of this stuff by using the long LRC. Or you can also pay attention to this if you're on a 2-minute. Whoops. Well, I'll just leave that there. If you're on a 2-minute, I'll go try to get to that day. I don't know what day that was. I may not be able to go that far back. Let me see. Let me try to get there because it's kind of neat to see when these happen. Let's see, 10, 14. Yeah, what's that date? 10/29. So let me see if I can get that to. I gotta add more days to my. What's the max I can add? 30 to a 2-minute? I don't think I can get back far enough, can I?
You might be able to go to 60 or 90.
Can I go to 6? Let me see.
I thought so, but maybe not.
90. Nope. 90 moves me.
No,
I'll still use the 5 minutes, so that's fine.
30 for 2 minutes.
Oh, thank you. Look at that. My chart is oof. So let me see if I can get this to pull back to that time. I don't know why it isn't letting me even zoom out. Now I'm locked up. I don't know why. Okay, here we go. So maybe I can just use a different example. Oh, okay, there it is right there. So this is how really neat it looks like when you're trading intraday and you see this level, right? And this level. And then of course this is just a massive dump. Is this week? Where am I? What day am I on? No, this is 10/29. This is the right spot. So you can see once you came back down and broke this level, look at that. Look at the move. It was a massive move. Now this could have been a news event or whatever, but there's still, when you're trading that day, you'll be able to see this happening live, right? On a 5 minute, 2 minute. So you have plenty of time to hop in this and take this trade down to the next level. If that makes sense.
Metal, your sound is completely gone.
My sound is gone? Can you guys hear me?
No, it's back now. You went robotic for a bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. So I don't know if you saw what I was showing, but you can see that on the intraday as it's moving or crossing those levels. So it'll give you a kind of a heads up of when it's going to maybe drop or dump that level. So you have an opportunity, one, to either take profit at the level, or two, use it as an area that you are going to enter because you're like, okay, this is a major channel level. Once it pushes off of that, I'm going to trade to the next leg. So like this is the mean, that's the next level up, and the next one is above that. This will kind of show you how important the long LRCs are. Let me just do this on maybe a 10-minute. You can see where this was my outer channel on SPY. And this is what happened with the dump yesterday. Came up, and where did it ride? Right on it. Consolidated this up, long LRC. And remember, when you're doing the long LRCs, when you're on the lower time frames, it's this area. It's not just the line, but you have to kind of just see what it's doing around it. And you could see how important this level was for it. And then once it broke, that's when it dumped this afternoon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I noticed that when you're drawing your lines, you don't really have to save it each time. Does it remember? Like, let's say if you draw something on Apple, does it just remember next time you load Apple where your lines were?
Oh, you mean the long LRCs?
Not necessarily, yeah, long LRCs or even like support, resistance, or any other lines.
Yeah. They stay on any stock that you put it on. It stays on that chart or on that stock. Yes. Yep. So it doesn't go away. I have a clean button down here, so I can wipe them off but that's in the drawing set. I use default. That's the one I trade with. That's what I do all my levels on. And then when I'm trying to, walk someone or show people things, I go to clean. That way I can get rid of everything and see a clean chart. But but yes, it does not get rid of them. So if you notice, every single chart I go to, even charts I haven't traded in forever, like TDW, I don't even know if I've even looked at that in goodness knows how long, and I still have a long LRC from way back when. And you can see, look at how this thing is just steadily riding this thing. I haven't changed it since here.
Right.
But I just don't trade this stock. But in any event, yes, to answer your question, the levels that you put in will always stay on your chart unless you take them off.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Anyone else have any questions before I wrap it up?
Great session. Thank you so much. We appreciate it a lot.
Oh, you're very welcome. I will see you
thank you so
tomorrow.
So yeah.
Yep.
See you tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great evening. And in the
Thanks,
week,
Matt.
in the week green, guys. That's important.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, you guys take care.
For sure.
Thanks for coming by.
Good night.
Good night.
Have a good one, Metal.
Yeah, man.
You done recording?